Worth from Buffalo Springfield. In case you didn't know, although For What It's Worth is often considered an anti-war song, Stephen Stills was inspired to write the song because of the Sunset Strip curfew riots in L.A. in November of 1966, a series of early counterculture era clashes that took place between police and young people on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. The same year, Buffalo Springfield had become the house band at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Local residents and businesses had become annoyed by how crowds of young people going to clubs and music venues along the Strip had caused late-night traffic congestion. In response, they lobbied L.A. County to pass law ordinances stopping loitering and enforce a strict curfew on the Strip after 10 p.m. The young music fans, however, felt the new laws infringed upon their civil rights. On Saturday, November 12, 1966, flyers were distributed on the Sunset Strip inviting people to join demonstrations later that day. Several of LA's rock radio stations also announced a rally outside the Pandora's Box Club on the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Crescent Heights. That evening, as many as 1,000 young demonstrators, including future celebrities such as Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda, who was handcuffed by police, by the way. Okay, I'm going to appeal that. Shocker. Celebrities, including Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda, who was handcuffed by police, by the way, gathered to protest against the curfew's enforcement. Although the rallies began peacefully, trouble eventually broke out. The unrest continued the next night and periodically throughout the rest of November and December, forcing subclubs to shut down within weeks. It was against the background of these civil disturbances that Stills recorded For What It's Worth on December 5th, 1966. Thank you all for being here today. Really, really appreciate you for joining us. We know you have many, many choices to make every single morning, and we're grateful that you chose to spend some time with us. My apologies for starting late today. There's a gifting goal today. We are crowdfunded. You want to help support that, you can do so at Factsstillmatter. All my socials are at Factsstillmatter. And there's also a gifting goal. Let me start the flash goal here and do that. Please consider subscribing as well. We are marching towards 325 subscribers. If we can get there this week, then we will do a spinning of our wheel on Friday to give away some items from the merch store. The reason I was late today, and it's appropriate for what's going on about how this is not normal and we can't let it be. Everybody tap like crazy and share, please. I was late this morning because there's a tradition at my daughter's school where the first day of school, which is what it is in our county, all the seniors gather just outside the campus. There's only 65 kids in my daughter's graduating class, 40 girls, by the way. They gather outside the campus. They went to a senior night party last night. I don't want to know what they did, but they all seemed to have fun. They all were a little bit red-eyed this morning, but there's that. And then they pile on the back of a flatbed truck from one of the local vendors, and they all are stacked on the back of the truck in their class of 2026 t-shirts, and they all come in together. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful tradition, and to me, it's the last first day of school in our family, right? I don't count first day of college because it's entirely different, but I expected it to be emotional, but I think it was emotional in a different way because I'm watching them, right? Young women, young men, boys and girls, 17, soon to be 18 years old, right? They're entering their senior year of high school, the biggest fish in a little pond. And then a year from now, what are they going into? What world are they going into? What is life going to be like for them when they graduate? And I've never really I've never really thought about it in that terms until today, right? I've never really looked at what it is that they're facing until today. I want nothing better than a bright future for everyone. I don't care what your political affiliation is. If you're a graduating high school senior, I just want you to be happy. I want you to have opportunity. I want the young women who are graduating, the girls in this case, the young women that are graduating will be graduating next year. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to go? How are they going to afford to buy houses? How are they going to afford, what kind of jobs will be available to them? Are they going to have rights to their body? Will members of marginalized communities even still exist under the laws of our country? What about our non-binary and our LGBTQIA friends? They're already under threat every single day. We have to stop thinking about things, and I hate media sound bites and little catchphrases that they use. It drives me crazy. Existential threat. It's no longer an existential threat. We're here. It's certainly existential, but it's not a threat. We are here. No longer can we talk about a burgeoning authoritarian state. It's here. No longer can we talk about it in terms of, Donald Trump is a wannabe fascist. He is a fascist. We can't talk about this, the disabled community as well. Everybody, any marginalized group, anybody in any marginalized community anywhere is under threat already in our system that doesn't support them. Everyone, every marginalized community. When I say marginalized, I'm trying to use that as a blanket to cover everyone. Our disabled brothers and sisters, non-binary individuals in that community, LGBTQIA, the Black community, the Indigenous community, the communities of color, everyone. But this affects everybody, right? So we can no longer think of things in terms of what or who he is, but it's more than that, right? Republicans cannot be shamed into addressing what they've created, right? They can't. They're shameless. Think about Mike Johnson is a perfect example, right? I think he is sort of the poster child for what I'm about to say. Calls himself a man of God, calls himself a servant of God, a constitutionalist. That's his background. He's a constitutional lawyer, and he is signing up for this shit. He's lying to the American people every single day. They are shameless. We cannot shame them into addressing any of these things. They will just lie. And they've convinced millions of Americans that Black people, poor people, the disabled, educators, books, flags, brown people, science, math are threats. So the people that support them have created, based on the messages from the right and the right-wing circles, based on all those individuals, they've convinced a large chunk of voters that your country doesn't matter unless we get rid of enemies from within. The words coming out of the president's mouth. And who are those enemies exactly? People who do what? Who want to expand rights? People who want health care? People who want to protect the rights and privileges of every American? Well, we witnessed yesterday in D.C., and there's a good chance that Matt's going to join us this morning and Laney's going to join us potentially as well, because they were there. They were on the ground. We witnessed the President of the United States issuing an executive order that criminalizes flag burning. Flag burning is a protected right, not a privilege. It is a right. It is a right of expression, supported by the Supreme Court. First Amendment right. Now, you may not like it. I don't like the fact that there's a speed limit on the interstate of 65. I don't like that. Doesn't mean that I don't have to abide by the law. And what conservatives seem to forget is that those rights exist to protect us. Your right to freedom of speech protects you from the government from suppressing your speech. Every single argument the right makes, because they've been conditioning their voters, is an attempt to try to change the conversation. Well, what about Biden? Joe Biden mandated having to get vaccines. No, for federal employees, sure, he's the boss. It's a company, it's an organization. The military's been getting vaccinated forever. It's no different. We're now talking about a veteran, a 22-year combat vet, was in D.C. yesterday. His name's Jay, expressing his First Amendment right. Now, I don't know. There are some restrictions. Now, you may not be able to have public burning. I don't know. That's why I'm hoping that either Matt or Laney can join us so we can talk about the environment. But literally just Bronze Star recipient too, yeah. Just expressing his right. And what's the argument for how he wants to be how he's going to be arrested? Or what he's arrested for? What are the charges? And here's the thing. This is the worst part. It's like I said, conservatives, Republicans, the right is shameless. They cannot be shamed into doing these things. They're doing it because they have no expectation that anybody on the left will respond. And you know what? They're right in many cases. They're actually, it's an accurate portrayal. What, another strongly worded letter? Or a 25-hour filibuster speech on the floor of the Senate? or some saber rattling in committee. They control the White House. They control the courts. They control Congress. They control the majority of state legislatures. The only thing they do not control is you. They don't control that. They don't control you. And that song, for what it's worth, is an example of people in the community saying, this is fucking bullshit. And they rose up. Now, I got to tell you, I don't have a lot of faith that people are going to do it. I really don't. Apathy is where democracy goes to die. And I just really feel like there's just so many Americans who will watch a TikTok live or put a bumper sticker on their car, and that's all they'll do. The ball is literally in your court. Our country will never be the same. Now, are there possibilities of it being changed in a good way? Sure, don't know. But I don't think folks understand what is happening in this redistricting fight. Because once you gerrymander a map, it's very, very, very difficult to gerrymander it back. So if Republicans create this model in every state in which they have control, and they get a majority in the House, they're likely going to keep it for decades to come. Which means no climate protection, no civil rights protection. Never mind no civil rights protection. They'll do away with the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Women will never have bodily autonomy in our country. There'll be no protections for marginalized groups anywhere. More social programs will be cut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, look, I know, I was talking to one of my mods last night, and I know that people come to our space every single day and look for inspiration and hope. I don't know what to say. Now, do I feel confident that we're going to have elections next year? I don't feel confident about that. Do I feel confident that the courts will step in and continue to stop along the way? I feel good about lower courts. I don't feel confident about the Supreme Court. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm a realist. Like I always tell you guys, I'm a pragmatic progressive, a realist. I'm a realist. Like I look at what's in front of me. Now I'm going to always offer my opinions on things, and I'm always going to shoot it straight with you guys. And I don't want to discourage. That's the last thing I want to do. I don't want anything that I say in this space or in any of my videos that I do or wherever it might be to discourage anyone from being involved. On the contrary, you do not need to accept this because it's not normal. Don't let it be. The question, though, is what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I have tried every single day for the 3 years that I've been doing this, and I am grateful for this space and for this platform and to be able to do it. I've tried every single day to remind you guys of the threats. To show you what's happening, to show you where the money goes and why and who's on it and who's benefiting from it. I've tried every single day. And I know that many of you have heeded my warnings and many of you have taken my advice and the advice of other creators and have either decided to run for office or have created, nonprofits or whatever that might be. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. But it's not enough. It's not enough. We entrust politicians, right? We elect them, and you've got capital. You acquire capital when you're an elected individual, so use it. My concern is that, and the last thing that I want to see happen is proving the right, because they don't expect Democrats to fight back. They just don't. They will lie about it. Texas, what they're doing is against, they can argue that it's within the law. They're just changing the law. And then you've got their defenders saying they want to sue, Donald Trump now wants to sue California. For what? For what? Sue them for what? Is it not states' rights? Doesn't the state have the ability to do what they want to do? Well, apparently only when it applies to taking away women's rights to their body. That's when states' rights is important. Or banning books. I don't know what to say. I was chatting with Sam last night, and I was telling her I was struggling. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't want to discourage anybody from participating in democracy, because we need it more now than ever. I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to know what the next iteration of our country looks like. But the undercurrent of this entire thing, what we are watching is exactly what Vladimir Putin wants. This is his spank fest. This is his wet dream, the destabilization of America. He got exactly what he wanted. Exactly what he wanted. And millions of people in our country, including millions who took an oath to defend it, millions of people who took an oath to defend our nation, our Constitution, agree. Again, we cannot shame them into this. They don't have. There is no shame. There is no shame. They elected a man who bragged about having sex in common with his daughter. They elected him twice. You guys know the list. I don't need to repeat it for you. They are now in a position where, again, I point to this poll because it tells the entire story, right? 47% of Republicans surveyed in this Ledger poll said even if Donald Trump was incriminated, more so than he already is with the e-files, they would still support him. They would still support him. Now, do I believe that there was nefarious activity in the 2024 election? I do. The ironic part about that is that the right played the long game, and they won. They conditioned the American public to distrust elections. They did. They won. For years, they talked about rigging this and rigging that and fake ballots and all this kind of shit. Meanwhile, they were the ones that were doing it. They were the ones that were committing these crimes. They were the ones that were violating constitutional norms. And here we are. Thank you. They don't. The right, fueled by the Christian right, fueled by people like Russ Vought, fueled by people like Stephen Miller, right? They don't care about democratic norms. We have to stop thinking they do. They don't care about democracy. They just don't. They care about control. They don't care about our system of government. They don't. They don't care about civil rights and human rights. They don't care. They don't care about progress. They don't care. They don't care about the rule of law. They don't care about checks and balances. They don't care about any of it. So the question I have to ask you guys, why should we? Why should we? Why should we care? The reason that we care is because humans matter to us. The rights of other people matter to us. I don't care individually about Mr. Garcia. I care about his human rights. I care about his rights to due process. The gaslighting that we get from the right connected to those kinds of things is just, again, we can't fight that fight because they're not shameless. We care about the rule of law. They don't. They just don't care. The party that claims they care about small government doesn't care about small government. The party that cares about crime and corruption, if you truly cared about crime, if they truly cared about crime, that instead of the fascist sitting behind the Resolute desk, which, by the way, is our desk, it's not his, it's ours. If he truly cared about crime, he would be talking about Mike Johnson's state, Shreveport and Monroe, Louisiana, or Tulsa, or Nashville, or St. Louis. Places like that who have exceptionally higher rates, exponentially higher crime rates than DC or Chicago or LA. It doesn't matter. To the right, they don't care. They'll just believe whatever Trump tells them. They'll just believe that. They'll see a soundbite it'll get repeated on Fox News over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they will just lie to their voters to justify walling off the Capitol in preservation of the kingdom. Now, do I believe it's a precursor to martial law? Yeah, I do. I do. There's no justifiable reason to be sending National Guard, especially those that are now armed, sidearmed. The National Guard aren't law enforcement. I do believe it is a precursor for martial law. I do. In the first administration, everything was a test. Where are the vulnerabilities in their system? And they learned. And they figured it out. And friends, they've won. They have won the ideological battle in our country. They've won. All right? The question is, and I'm not, again, I'm angry, okay? But I'm like, it's emotional, especially since of what I got to experience this morning, right? I got to experience, do I have this? Hold on a second. That's my kid. Okay? You guys know how I talk about her. Look at her. Class of 2026. Class of 2026. Happy, cheerful, filled with joy. Incredibly smart, incredibly kind. Biggest heart you'll ever imagine. Beat cancer twice. Look at her. And there's people in our country that just don't care. That just don't care. And it stings. It just stings. It just hurts my heart to think about just people's selfishness and people's greed and people's just inability to look past their own spite. They're told to hate people. They have no reason to. World history involves some people who are landmark defenders of civil rights oftentimes get brushed aside, right? But change is required. And I've said this to you guys before. Oftentimes, you're usually faced with two reasons to change. You're either inspired to change or you're desperate to change. Now, I've been trying to encourage you thus to be inspired to change, which is why I close the show every single day with do something. Well, I don't know if it's working. Ask yourselves these questions. Are you putting pressure on your Democratic governors now? Are you demanding that they fight back? Are you knocking on their door every single day? Are you communicating with their press offices? Are you going through constituency services? Are you going to town halls? Are you going to their press office? Are you knocking on doors? Are you writing letters? Are you communicating? Are you doing any of it? I can't do it all for you. I know you're not asking me to, but I can't do it all for you. We've got a generation of people, right? Especially I think about the middle schoolers, right? 10, 11, 12. This is the world that they are living in now. This is the world, friends. You've got a demonic diabolical, dementia-ridden old man who's just being led around by people like Russ Vought, by people like Stephen Miller in his cabinet that are just using him. They're just using him. They used him very effectively. Very effectively. They used him very effectively to regain power because none of them are popular at all. But he is. He will be remembered in the United States political history, for good or for bad, depending on your perspective. But he will be remembered because of what he did and what he was able to accomplish by lying to the American public about everything. And we all suffer. I like that one. Kankle's McTaco Tits. I like it. I don't know what to say. Like, I've tried to be right on that line to say, listen, if I don't feel like there's going to be elections next year, then what's the point? I wish I could sit here and tell you confidently that I do feel like there's going to be elections next year. I just don't know. I just don't know. What I do know, though, is that apathy is where democracies go to die. 3.5 million, whatever the number was for no kings, that needs to be 30 million. That needs to be 30 million. That needs to be 50 million. That needs to be overwhelming response. Think about what happened in South Korea. Their president over there attempted to use martial law. And what did the citizenry do? Tens of millions of people showed up and he got thrown out of office. It's not going to work. Status quo is not going to work. I agree, Kipper. Status quo is just not going to work. If you expect somebody else to do it for you, then the game it's over. I'm sensitive to everybody's lot in life. You guys know me, right? I understand that people are in a position where they may not be able to do all that's necessary, but every one of us can do something. Every single one of us can do something. Everybody. And I am all in on this fight. Because what I witnessed this morning was 65 bright, shiny, happy, joy-filled kids. With the exception of my daughter, I don't know all of what's happening in their home dynamics. Although I've known most of these kids most of their lives. I've coached them in sports. I've directed them in plays. We've got auditions starting tomorrow night for this fall's musical. I know them. I know who they are. I know where they come from. And their future is under threat. Their economic future's always been under threat just because of capitalism. That's a different conversation. Yes, Francis, joy is an act of resistance. And I got that today and it fueled me. I don't even know if I was going to be able to do a show today. But I'm here because it's important to me. And I don't think people see it seriously enough. We just go about our lives. You know, you punch the clock. Stumble out of bed, fumble out of bed, stumble to the kitchen, pour yourself a cup of ambition, yawn and stretch, right? It's got to be more. It's got to be more because barely enough is not cutting it, folks. It has to be more. We have to fight. We have to. We have no choice. If we don't, then this is what we get. And they are mocking us, friends. They're mocking us because they don't expect the left to fight back. They don't. They just don't. They don't. They don't expect it. They just do not expect it. Guys in the chat, guess who's back? Never mind, I'll leave that alone. If you know, you know. They don't expect us to fight back. They don't. I don't know what to tell you other than stop thinking of this in terms of it's an existential threat. We're past threat. This is DEFCON, whatever the scale is. We don't have a democracy currently, you guys. We don't. We don't have a democracy. We have an authoritarian state. We have an authoritarian state where the president of the United States, Cankles McTaco Tits, is using the power of the pen to erase democracy. And you know what's interesting? A lot of the people on the right saying, oh yeah, we still have democracy. And you guys have been one saying, we don't have democracy, it's a constitutional republic, whatever. I'm not going to even go there. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are you as an individual going to do? You have to ask yourself that question. And again, I'm sorry, due respect. At this point in time, I don't care about your lot in life. I really don't. Because we can all do something. We have to. Every fucking time democracy is on the ballot, or this is the end, who steps up? Black women. Always fucking step up. Always. Why would any of them continue to do that? Why the fuck are people so apathetic? Why are people so just, yeah, you know, somebody else is going to do it? The right knows that, which is why they are doing it. They know. What's the response going to be? You know, the Democrats are not going to do that. I'll just go on Fox News and I'll try to blame Gavin Newsom for saying that he's violating the law. They're not going to tell you what law he's violating. By the way, he's not. If anybody's violating the law, it's Texas. Next is going to be Missouri. Next is going to be Indiana. Then it's going to be Florida, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They are just going to do it. There's going to be no convincing them. They are shameless. And what is the response from Democrats going to be? Seems like they're talking a good game. You know, J.B. Pritzker's talking a good game. Wes Moore's talking a good game. Other Democratic governors, Kathy Hochul, they're talking a good game. But what are they going to do? I don't want to watch any more press conferences from Democratic leaders saying, you know, this is a fight. I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit. No shit, it's a fight. I want my leaders, potential leaders, to stand up there and say, Donald Trump is a dictator and a fascist and a traitor, and they are breaking every law. So guess what? We are too. We're going to break every law that they're breaking. We are going to defend democracy. We are going to attempt to save our country because they don't care. They don't. They don't. I cannot implore you enough to understand the serious nature of what we are talking about here. The President of the United States violating your First Amendment rights in real time. In real time. You burn the flag, you go to jail. Just as a little historical history, this is Texas v. Johnson. During the 1984 Republican National Convention in Dallas, activist Gregory Lee Johnson burned an American flag in political protest. He was convicted under a Texas statute banning flag desecration. The issue: does a state violate the First Amendment by criminalizing flag burning as part of a political demonstration? The court ruled 5-4. Flag burning as political protest is protected expressive conduct under the First Amendment. The state cannot ban expression simply because society finds it offensive or disagreeable. Reasoning from Justice Brennan: Johnson's act was intended to convey a political message and was understood as such, so it was expressive conduct. Texas interests, preventing breaches of the peace and preserving the flag as a symbol, didn't justify a content-based restriction on speech. No disturbance actually occurred, and the government may not prohibit expression to mandate respect for a symbol. In concurrence, Justice Kennedy acknowledged the act was offensive, but emphasized constitutional protection for unpopular speech. Dissents, Chief Justice Rehnquist joined by O'Connor and White, argued the flag's unique status allowed the state to prohibit its desecration. Justice Stevens separately argued the government could protect the flag's symbolic value without suppressing ideas. The result, Johnson's conviction was overturned. The Texas law was unconstitutional as applied. Aftermath, Congress passed the Flag Protection Act of 1989, which the court struck down in United States versus Eichmann in 1990, reaffirming the Johnson decision. Texas v. Johnson is a cornerstone free speech case affirming that the First Amendment protects symbolic, offensive, and politically charged expression, limiting government power to enforce orthodoxy about national symbols. That's the whole game. No one, I don't care what your political leanings are. No one should support this. The rights argument has always been, when cornered, and I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands of these people. Well, it shouldn't, I hate it. It shouldn't be allowed. It doesn't matter if it should or shouldn't be. It doesn't matter. It's what the law says, reaffirmed by the Supreme Court. And don't forget, just recently, the president has said, well, it's just basically a woke Supreme Court decision, which means they are prepared to test it. They are prepared to test it. Civil rights lawyers are already on the job. They're going to be busy. They are already prepared to test it. So what does law enforcement do? Continue to violate people's rights? I'm not going to encourage you to do what Jay did in DC yesterday. But why the fuck not? They don't expect us to stand up, friends. They just don't. They don't expect us to do it. In fact, they're more confident than ever that they won't, that we won't, or the left won't respond. That's the issue. And they're right most of the time. What are you as an individual going to do? What are you going to do? How are you going to fight for your rights? Not to party, but to live. What are you going to do? You. I want you to look in the mirror tomorrow morning or before you go to bed tonight and ask yourself, what are you going to do? Steve's in your head. Facts is sitting on your shoulder. What are you going to do? Are you going to do something? Are you going to do something tomorrow? Are you going to do something the next day? What are you going to do? Because without us, it's game over. We'll never have what we had. An educated electorate, people who are informed, people who truly care, are the ones who critically think their way through criticizing their government. That's what we want. Our nation was built on that principle. One of our First Amendment rights to peacefully protest and petition our government for grievances. We don't have that right, then we have the authoritarian state that we have now. Anybody who speaks out against the government is under threat. I always feel like there's something else afoot. To me, there's a lot of surface stuff that happens, but there's always a bigger objective. And to me, the bigger objective from my perspective is just enrichment for for crony capitalists. That's it. This is basically, again, this is everything that autocrats in particular Vladimir Putin has wanted. This is what he's been working for. This is what the autocrats and the Christian right have been working for. The destabilization of our country. Could we be any more destabilized now? When our own citizens are being arrested for expressing their rights? Do not let any MAGA fucking traitor tell you that you do not have a right to burn a flag in public. Do not let any of them tell you that. Do not ignore them. Now, if you were to go steal somebody's flag, if you were to go, break in and steal someone's property and do it, then yeah, you should be subjected to the law and punishment. Do not let them lie to you. Let them just live in their fantasy world. Now, what the right has a tendency to do is attempt to say, well, if I burn a flag, if I burn a pride flag, I'm going to go to jail. Same rules apply. If you stole a pride flag and you burned it, then you should be subjected to due process within our criminal system. So I was curious about this. Are there any examples of what that would look like? Burning a flag you lawfully possess as part of a political protest is protected expressive conduct under the First Amendment. The government can't ban it just because it's offensive. Hate crimes usually involve more than expression. They involve underlying crimes. For example, theft, trespass, vandalism, arson, plus a biased motive. Conduct versus expression. The Supreme Court upheld sentence enhancements for biased, motivated crimes in Wisconsin v. Mitchell in 1993. Enhancements punish the criminal conduct and its motive, not the ideas alone. So if someone steals and burns a pride flag to target the LGBTQ plus community, courts can enhance the penalty. It's not simply the expression of burning the flag bias. Unlike our flag, right? Again, if you own it, you can burn it. Doesn't matter. Threats and intimidation. The court allows bans on truth threats. For example, Virginia v. Black in 2003 permits outlawing cross burning with intent to intimidate, though not on a blanket ban. If a pride flag burning is part of a threat meant to terrorize a group, it's not protected. Property crimes. Johnson doesn't protect destroying someone else's property. Burning a pride flag taken from a church, home, or business is punishable as theft, vandalism, and/or arson, often with hate crime enhancements if motivated by anti-LGBTQ plus biases. Here's some examples. In Iowa, 2019, a man stole a pride flag from an Ames church and burned it. He was convicted of a hate crime and related offenses, also sentenced as a habitual offender. The charge turned on theft, vandalism, plus a biased motive, not a ban on offensive ideas. Atlanta, June 2025. 3 adults and a juvenile allegedly pulled down pride flags and cut them up in a central LGBTQ plus neighborhood. Police said hate crime charges were being pursued. Again, this is about property destruction with a biased motive. Analogy. BLM banners in D.C. in 2020. Enrique Tarrio received jail time after burning a stolen Black Lives Matter banner. Punishment flowed from property destruction, not from suppressing a viewpoint, not charged as a hate crime in that case, but the logic is the same. Here's the comparison. Burn your own flag, whether it be U.S. or Pride or your own property, as protest, no threats, obey fire laws, generally protected by the Johnson v. Texas case. Steal someone else's pride flag and burn it, or use burning to threaten and intimidate a protected class, it's criminal. Penalties can be enhanced for bias under Mitchell. Threats can be punished under Virginia v. Black. So again, that's an argument that the right is going to use. The conservatives have been persecuted for burning pride flags. If it's your pride flag, knock yourself out. If you want to go out and buy one, if you're that much of a bigot and you want to go out and buy a pride flag and you want to set it on fire, no penalty. It's yours. If you use it as a bias, if you use it as a threat, if you decide to go to a gay-owned business or whatever that might be and then light it on fire in front of that property, yeah, you're going to face jail time. The 22-year combat veteran, Jay, yesterday in D.C., there was no threat. Public sidewalk. Now, I don't know if it was a restricted burn area. So again, being objective, if there are laws in place, right? There are laws in place that you can't burn anything, flag or otherwise, in public, especially in that area, then yes, he should face punishment. If that's what his charge is, right? If his charge is burning something in public, then okay, I get that. But to criminalize free speech, can't do it. Can't do it. Charge him for starting a fire in public. Okay. Hi, Heather.
Good morning, Steve.
Heather.
Can you hear me?
can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay. Real quick, I just wanted to point out, DC, the whole reason why the National Guard is there is because it's just being overrun by criminals, right? The criminal activity. But yet they have time to arrest a middle-aged white man who was a veteran for his constitutional right to burn the flag.
Good point.
But it's being overrun by criminals, you guys. But just, overrun completely. They're terrorized by all the criminals.
I know. I know. Again, if he's being charged with setting fire on something in a public place, and that is the rule, or if that's the law, then he should be subjected to punishment. I get that. I think we can all be objective about that enough. But the issue you bring up is really is correct. If there's all this crime running rampant, now again, another lie that's been told by the right is that they gone 9 days without a homicide in the city of DC, claiming it's the first time it's happened in years. It happened in February. In fact, they went 16 days without a homicide in February. It's happened multiple times in the last year. So it's just more lies. It's got nothing to do with crime. It's got nothing to do with crime.
And that's all they have is lies, right? As we talk about, we know that. That's all they have is lies. And like you said, when the,
Hang on one second, Heather. Alan, I think you're a coward, Alan, you come in here every single day and you make all these comments from the cheap seats. You're never brave enough to request to come up and tell me your opinions. Instead, you hide like most cowards do. So if you are truly the convicted, responsible conservative you are that cares about the Constitution, who cares about expression of speech, then jump in the box. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Sorry, Heather, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Definitely always yell at those people. But yeah, just to point out, even again, we will go down. Donald Trump will be remembered in history, whether it's good or bad, like we said, which we know it'll be bad. But then 47% of the American population will also go down in history as the dumbest group of people on planet Earth. Just the absolute dumbest people ever.
I agree.
All right, Steve.
Yep.
What about Biden?
I appreciate. What about Biden? I appreciate you, Heather. Have a good day. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Again, and this is what I see. This is why you see, you don't see. I know a lot of people that maybe I started a trend. I don't know. A lot of people are not doing debates anymore. Why? Why would you bother? If that's your shtick, then go for it. I don't set out to do debates to talk to people, but I will talk to people who are cowards. Okay. Speaking of someone who is not a coward, first of all, thank you for taking the bat signal last night, my friend. I appreciate you very much.
Right. Not me, right?
I saw you in DC. And I just thought maybe for people who didn't see when you were down there, I know Matt was there, I know Jolly was there. I know you've had 12 hours probably to process it, Lainey, if you've even slept a wink. I'm just curious, twofold. One, as a strong patriot who cares about your country, and as a vet, what's going through your head after what you witnessed yesterday?
Well, it was it was really I guess not surprising. Like, this is what we were hoping for, like what we intended was to make an impact, a visual impact, by making our presence loudly known. And of course, we had Jay here. Jay is here right now.
Hey, Jay. How's it? It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Steve. It's great to meet you. We don't know each other personally, but I know of you. I just want to thank you for what you did, sir.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that.
And so we're heading back into DC right now. We were up and running until about 2:30 in the morning. So, but we're heading back to the tent, the flare tent, which we're set up in temporarily until our tent arrives on Friday. But we're going to be there, like, waiting for other folks to join us, and we'll have somebody at the tent 24/7, and then other folks hopefully will be joining us to go out and serve as like a quick response team.
Right. Jay, this is a personal question. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Would you mind? What did they charge you with, if they charge you with anything?
They gave me 2 citations, one for burning in an unapproved area, and then one for starting a fire, causing destruction in a park. So that's what we're at right now. That's just the park department. We're waiting for other things to drop. If I feel I'm living in Trump's head right now, so I guess it's going to depend on how pissed off he gets. They really push this.
Yes, you are.
For more charges.
So did I hear that correctly? That it was burning something in an area that you weren't allowed to burn in? Is that the charge, basically?
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. An unauthorized fire in a park, basically.
Yeah.
Would you have needed a permit? Could you have burned there if you had a permit?
I don't think you're allowed to burn on the bricks directly in front of the White House. So I don't think it would have mattered. Maybe in an area that's set up for going out and camping and stuff. But no, I think that's honestly, I just feel like that's what all they get charged. That's all they legally get charged me with at this point, regardless of what Trump signed yesterday. So I'm just waiting to see what else comes out of this. If I receive a summons or something from either the DC prosecutor or whomever.
Janine Pirro's gonna get you.
Janine Pirro.
Oh, I know.
If she's sober.
I was gonna say, Jay, just bring her some box wine. You'll be totally fine. Nothing to worry about there. Is there anything that we can do to help you? Is there anything like should we consider starting a GoFundMe to cover potential legal costs? Is there anything that our community, because Lainey knows this community steps up when necessary and when needed. Is there anything that we can do to help you out?
Well, I do know that we are part of what we're fundraising through our political or our actions right now is going to be part of it's going to also be setting up a legal fund for me. It's rememberyouroath.org. I don't know if
the donate button might not be active just yet. It's like in the works because we want to make sure that it is separate from the 5 of us. That it's not going to anybody's personal account, you know what I mean? So like that is in the works, but that should be up soon.
I think I don't know. I haven't really, I'm still processing everything.
I got you.
And I've already had a lawyer reach out to me. She actually defended the gentleman who burned the flag and went all the way to the Supreme Court in 1989.
Texas v. Johnson. In that case?
Conventions. She's got...
Wow. So that goes back.
Yes. So she's got history with this. Okay. She knows my wife, apparently.
Okay. So Lainey, I don't have Jay's information. Jay, if you get a chance, maybe you can follow me and message me just so I have your contact information. Although we may be mutuals, I'm not sure. Lainey,
I also have
go ahead.
He has a nonprofit also at resistpersist.org.
Yeah, I had started I was the veteran that was forcibly removed from a town hall, Chuck Edwards Town Hall, back in March. So I had started a nonprofit, and you can also donate there. Like I said, it's resistpersist.org. Its primary mission initially was to inform veterans and their family of what's happening with the VA, because I'm a veteran and I get my health care from the VA, and they've been dismantling it. But with all the other dumpster fires that are going on, we've expanded. I'll do advocacy for everything that I can do, and so what's going on right now here in DC, the occupation of U.S. territory by the military, is part of my mission, and so they can go there, resistpersist.org, and donate if they want to for right now. Like I said, it's so new. I'm still trying to wrap my head. We got to get a handle on it. It takes a couple days.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I was watching Jolly being Jolly and Matt being Matt, and obviously their plea to either active duty and or veterans in the community who seem to be supporting some of this message. Do you have anything that you'd like to say to whether it be active duty or National Guardsmen and women who are now part of having to go into American cities to, I don't know what their goal is other than intimidation. Is there anything that you'd like to say to them? Both of you. I want to ask both of you that question.
Yes. Question your orders. It's okay to question these orders. These orders, if your gut's telling you this doesn't seem right, this is not what you signed up for, this is not what you've been trained for, which none of them have been trained for this, question them. Do you remember the phone number? I don't have the phone number.
It's 877-447-4487, I believe.
Yeah, they can reach out and ask whether their orders are legal, what's the repercussions of not following them. And I mean, we're seeing these, I mean, they're basically, a lot of they're young kids walking around with weapons now in DC, no experience, very few of them have combat experience. And it's just it is an accident waiting to happen. It's a tragedy waiting to happen, and it's going to happen with these kids walking around with loaded weapons. And it's
and Lainey, I think your perspective is a bit different just because of your National Guard specific experience. So do you have any?
So we did. When I was in, and I was a kid. I was in my early 20s. I was in Colorado, and so we did, a few deployments for forest fires, and we would go out and just kind of patrol the areas to make sure that nobody was like looting houses and stuff like that. But basically, we were like a neighborhood watch.
Sure.
We were not carrying weapons. We basically were just out there to see something, say something. Essentially,
not trained in law enforcement, obviously.
Absolutely not. And also just checking, like, when people started to come back, making sure that like only the people that lived in that area were coming through. Once the areas were safe to re-enter and stuff like that. So it was never like we're out like patrolling to support, like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything close to like walking city streets, and just it feels very, very different what they're doing here, and especially that they're carrying sidearms and M4s. Like, it makes no sense to me, and it's not. And it would definitely be something that, like, when I was younger, thought about, like, if they, what if they called us up to do XYZ? Like, these are things that you think about. And I know that for some of them, it's in their head that, like, this doesn't feel right.
Does the UCMJ apply to the National Guard as well, Lainey?
Yes, absolutely.
So I guess the question I have for the two of you, and I've been wondering, do you have a couple? I'm sure you're busy. Do you have a couple more minutes? I just have a couple more questions. Is that cool?
Yeah, we're just on the road back into Union Station right now. Okay,
so because what I heard you say, Jay, and I agree, or I can't say I agree. I don't know enough of the machinations of active duty and or veteran and what's considered a lawful and unlawful order. But I guess what we've not seen yet or heard yet has anybody expressed their rights under the UCMJ and then refused those orders. It's probably not something that would go public, because I would imagine that there's probably quiet. Yeah, exactly. I would imagine there's probably some people doing what you suggested, like questioning, like, this is not what I fucking signed up for. I would imagine that's happening a lot. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but they're not gonna allow it to go public, because that would start that's a spark to start the fire. Yeah, they're gonna quell it as much as they can. When I was in the back of the I was first detained by the Secret Service police, and as I was hanging out in the back of their truck, I asked the officer, I was like, what do you think about these National Guard carrying weapons? And he's like, well, if I'm wearing a uniform, I'd want to be armed. I was like, but they're not police. I said, they're not policing. They don't have the ability to police. They don't know how to police. It's like, do you feel safe being around these people who aren't trained to do your job, trying to do your job? And he just kind of clammed up at that point. And I'm like, I don't feel safe. I was like, you will be going on a call for someone being shot by the National Guard for absolutely no reason. Yeah. An accidental incident, we call them negligent discharges.
And he's also, like, now authorizing the National Guard to quell protests. We've got a Kent State on our hands.
Yes.
You know, like a potential Kent State on our hands in multiple states now. Like, this is just authoritarianism. It's plain and simple.
Yeah, no more of it is an existential threat. We're past threat. We're actually here now, right? We are in an authoritarian state.
Why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we are deep into the fascist state, and everybody has got to push back on this. We have to push back.
That number again, is it 877-447-4487? Does that sound right?
That sounds right. Yeah, I mean, I can't double check right now. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
So like I said, Matt, I'm sorry. I know Matt may join us as well as he was there. But Jay, if possible, or when the dust settles, friend, when the dust settles, please know that there's a community here that would love to try to support you as best we can, whatever that looks like. Happy to platform you again, whatever that looks like. I really want to make sure that your voice is heard, and if there's a way that we can help, either through fundraising or just through exposure or whatever that might be, you can count on us to help you. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We're efforting to get that number, friends. Once we get it, Lainey, I know Olive's got your digits, and if at some point you can connect with Olive, and then we can broadcast that. Anything else that either one of you would like to share before I let you go? You got the bars of hell, Lainey.
Oh, sorry. I can see it.
Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if there's anything else you guys would like to share before I let you go.
Yeah, if you can hear me, I want to say that there's any veterans out there that want to get involved, go to rememberyouroath.org. That is us, okay? Rememberyouroath.org. There's a sign-in sheet there that will get you linked to us. And make sure you are following myself. Jay is at Resist Persist Vet, okay? And obviously following Jolly Good Ginger, USMC Angry Veteran, and U.S. Army Overlord. That's the 5 of us that started this ball rolling, but we want to see it snowball. We want to see more vets out protecting their streets and protecting their cities from military occupation.
Well,
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, Jay.
No, we're there until this occupation of U.S. soil ends. So if you can come out for 1 day, 1 hour, 1 month, whatever it looks like, it matters. I mean, there were not very many of us yesterday, and we had a big impact everywhere we went. We drew attention. We made a difference. People were seeing us out there. So come and join us, and let's end this fascism. I'm
sure you would both agree, apathy is where democracy goes to die. So thank you both very much. Thank you both for your service. And Jay, I'm sorry what you went through yesterday, but it seems like you said, you're definitely living inside the orange trader's head for sure. There's lots of room in there. Let's be real. There's plenty of room in there.
He's thrown so many, hamburgers out the wall.
He really has. The White House is now a shade of pink. Again, thank you both very, very much. And then Jay, once like I said, I'll say it again just to reiterate. If there's anything we can do aside from what you just mentioned this morning, you can count on us. And Lainey, I'm sure Olive and you guys can connect, and we can figure something out to promote more of what you're doing. Thank you both very, very much. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Steve.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's what resisting looks like, friends. Okay, that's what resisting looks like. The phone number again, 877. I think it's this 877-447-4487. I'm sorry, 877-447-4487. What we will do on our side is we will get the names of the organizations that they are advocating for and or have coordinated, and we will put those. We'll post them. I'll put them in the link tree that's in my bio, and we will promote the shit out of this. So that's what resistance looks like. They're taking their time out of their lives. So it's good to know that Jay clarified what kind of we thought, right? The charges, right? The charges were public burning. Okay. Okay, whatever. But it's symbolic. And He did it. The place he did it, very symbolic. And he's getting the attention that he deserves. So Lainey knows how much I love them, and Matt and Jolly and Army Vet Overlord and Jay and that entire community. We've got veterans in our community. So I guess the plea that I heard from both of them is remember your oath. And they need you. They need your brothers in arms, brothers and sisters in arms. They need you. They need you to remind others in your communities what's at stake. Okay? That's what's important right now. Hi, Jen.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Feel better after that conversation, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a military mom, I'm 100% behind everybody. So I just had a question and a statement, if you don't mind. Which one do you want me to start with?
Your call. Your call.
So the statement that I want to make is that I've been listening to a lot of people, and especially these Trump supporters that still support Trump, and they can't make the correlation between what's going on right now in our United States and what happened in Germany. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then if you can't make that correlation, then I need you to then go and research what happened in Hungary in 2010 when Viktor Orban took control of Hungary, because before Viktor Orban, they had a true democracy. And then Viktor Orban came in and he has turned that into a total authoritarian dictatorship. And what's even scarier about that is that Donald Trump and Viktor Orban are very close friends. In fact,
yes,
when he was meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders, he called Putin. And then after he called Putin, he called Viktor Orban. Mm-hmm. So this is a very scary situation. And all of us who have read and study history know that history is repeating itself. And so I think you made a very good point already this morning, since I've been listening to you. At this point where we are, it almost doesn't even matter if you voted for whoever, because what's going on is destroying our nation, and you need to realize that no matter who you voted for.
Correct. Yeah, the people who, especially for years, we've listened to the right claim to be patriotic and to claim to care about their country and don't want the oppression of government, and literally everything that they claim they care about is now happening to them. And I'm asking, where is their voice now?
Right.
Yeah.
Yesterday, there were tanks rolling through the streets of Washington, D.C. One went right down Constitution. I have a video on my TikTok, if anybody's interested, with the same tanks rolling through downtown Paris. The German tanks rolling through downtown Paris. The correlation is eerie.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
And then
go ahead. Then the question.
No, the question that I have for you is that listening to you about, you said, look yourself in the mirror and what are you going to do? Can you give people an idea of what they can do, some ideas? Because I think
Sure.
a lot of people go, I want to do something, but what is it that I can do?
So it's a fair question. So to me, the doing something is just that. It doesn't always have to be politics. People think about things when I say that in terms of politics. Now, some people might decide they want to run for office. Some people may decide they want to door knock. Some people might want to volunteer for a campaign. Some people might want to canvass. Some people might want a phone bank. Those are all things you can do politically. What about in your community? Have you identified an infirmed individual who doesn't have family? Could you make them food one night a week? Could you volunteer after school? Could you volunteer in your classroom? Could you help clean up your community? Could you identify someone who's infirmed in your community and offer their assistance? Is there a disabled member of your community that could use some help around the house? Anything. Because activism is a muscle and you have to exercise it. So it doesn't always have to be politics. It's just a matter of saying, I care about my community. Because we always talk about people are saying, how do we unite? How many of you know your neighbors? I understand now the political climate we live in, people are certainly under pressure. I get that. But in general, how many people know their neighbors? Now, I don't go into things when I help people, and I help lots of people. I never go into it asking for anything back. That's not what helping, in my opinion, is. You do it because you want to do it. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Those are examples of doing something.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thanks so much, Steve. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, Jen. See you later. Take care. Have a good day. All right, bye. That's what, to me, I mean, this is my opinion. That's what doing something to me feels like. You know, when I forget who I was watching yesterday. Somebody had 46 cents in their bank account, and they donated to that to a creator because they like what the creator was saying. Right? It's just like, to me, that's what doing something is. How many of you who've been to a school board meeting? I mean, I know this is the smartest chat on TikTok, and you guys are involved. I know that, but these are the kinds of things that you can tell other people in your community. Cul-de-sac concert, raise money for somebody, whatever that might be, doing something is absolutely critical. And I think we should coin that phrase. We might need a t-shirt for that, but I grew up that way. I mean, I was inspired by my mom, who was, I always think about what it would be like for if she were still alive today, because she would be fucking pissed. She would be in DC getting arrested. That's who my mother was, no doubt about it. So I got that activism muscle from her early on, and I'm grateful for that. I am really, really grateful for that. Not everybody was exposed to that. Apathy is where democracy goes to die, folks. So if activism for you is just starts small, maybe you really know somebody that's infirmed or whatever that might be, who's got challenges around the house. There might be a disabled member of your community that could use a ramp, or they could use their sidewalk cleaned up. Just go do it. Just do something. Don't think about it, right? Just do it. Just act on it. I'm not suggesting anybody breaks the law. I'm just saying, just go do something. Okay? That's my request here. It doesn't matter. Just flex your muscle. Hey, Eli, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind today?
I kind of just wanted to add to the kind of conversation you were just having. For those of you who don't know your neighbors, right? First, that's the first step. Get to know. I mean, protect yourself. Make sure that you're aware. I'm sure if you see somebody waving a MAGA flag, that's not going to be the neighbor that you go up to and.
Agreed.
Yeah, but make sure that you know your surroundings. The next step, what's really important is, unfortunately, we've reached that point, right? They're deploying the National Guard more than to just like DC, right? And so, like, I live in Texas, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I got one more week of active duty. This week is the last one before my career finally comes to a close. But what I will say is the next step is you got to have the hard conversations. You got to have the conversations that maybe your neighbors are not as chronically online as we are. And honestly, that's it's not a thing to shame anybody for, but we do have a lot of people that are not staying as up to date. So making sure that having a plan. Hey, I want to make sure that you have my number. I want to make sure that you have a way to contact me and that I have a way to get a hold of you. And keeping it from more than, thank you, Emmy, and keeping it from more than just me and you. Try to make that, spread that, make that a more community thing. Because here's the thing, when push comes to shove, when you have the military, local police forces, everybody that you're supposed to be able to call on to help you, when you cannot rely on them, you have to rely on your community. You have to be able to rely on each other. So for everybody, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's a cool thing. Love that, Mike. That's sweet.
So for everybody who has that, who is able-bodied, also look out for those that aren't. Look out for those who are like more vulnerable, right? Like my neighbors next to me are two GAY gentlemen that are also Hispanic, and knowing that I have their backs and they have my backs. I know the neighbors across from me, the neighbors to the right of me, and having a plan so far as like, who can I contact on speed dial? Who can I silently click this button and it's going to call everybody? Because if somebody shows up at your door, you don't have time for somebody an hour away to get to you. You don't have time for somebody who's in another state to notify somebody else. You need to get to know your community locally, and you need to be ready to just show up. And I'm not saying to show up and do anything illegal. I'm saying show up, make sure that you're there recording, make sure that the forces know that you're not alone. Nobody in the community is alone in that we are together. Make sure that you have first and last names. Make sure that you have kind of like that community kind of built. So that's just kind of the little bit that I wanted to add.
I love that, Eli. First of all, thank you for your service. Now, you may have heard Lainey and you may have heard Jay in our last segment. Is there anything that you would like to say to active duty service members and or anybody who's in uniform, who's potentially in a position now where they're going to be responding to some orders that they may not like very much?
Yeah, so I've been saying this for a long time. I've been trying to speak to as many service members on the ground as I possibly can. Just know that if it feels unlawful, you do not have to abide by it. You cannot get in trouble for asking if it is. You cannot get in trouble for checking with JAG, for calling the number that confirms whether or not that's a lawful order. If it's unconstitutional, it is unlawful. And Article 92 of the UCMJ, that is the article that you can go through and read, and it outlines exactly what lawful orders constitute. If you do follow an unlawful order, that is also punishable. So you need to make sure that you know, like, the problem is people think usually when you follow an unlawful order, you're not going to get punished straight away. You're not going to get punished straight away. Years may go by, and it may not be the American government that punishes you. There's international laws on human rights, like violations, and international law can punish you. And it may be a year from now, but please recognize that you're not safe just because your bros and sisters and those that are neither around you are doing it. It's going to be scary, but I promise you, it will, like, you are going to feel so much better abiding by the oath that you swore to protect people. Because right now, everybody who's not doing that, you're breaking your oath. Yes.
This may be a dumb question. I'm going to ask it anyway. I look at the National Guard just a little bit differently because of the governor-president relationship there. But would an unlawful order, for example, be ordering the United States Marine Corps or active duty Army into states? Would that be considered an unlawful order?
When the governor of that state has not requested it, correct. There's unfortunately in DC, it's a bit different because the president is actively in that state. Every other state.
Yeah. Did you hear that, MAGA? Did everybody catch that from the back? Yeah. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah.
So, like, unfortunately, the president has a bit more. Which is annoying, like when they all throw out, "Oh, Nancy Pelosi." Now, the president could can actively activate the National Guard in DC, unfortunately, because right now it's on a false pretense currently, given that the crime is so low. But
so for example, if the president, through Pete Hegseth and whatever else, ordered the United States Marines to go into Chicago, would that be an unlawful order?
If the governor says, which I did see a video, I actually reposted it. It's on my repost if you want to go watch. So the mayor of Chicago, I believe, is the one who I reposted, straight up said, the president has requested that I welcome the Guard and ask for their help. And I'm telling you, no, I don't. We don't need your help. So if the president chooses to, like, he doesn't have the authority, but because people are doing this thing where they're abiding by unlawful orders, or they're just like, I don't know, acting in fear, or they're being offered copious amounts of money, like ICE is being offered so much money.
Crazy.
Yeah, all those things. Also, we have this really gross, what we can't ignore is the YT supremacy that has been literally bred into the police force, the three-letter agencies, and the military. If you haven't read it, there's a book called The Hate Next Door by Matt and Tony Browning. They worked for the FBI for 20 years undercover and just like infiltrated YT supremacist organizations. And it talks.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about the National Guard. I'm trying to separate the National Guard from the Marine Corps, for example. So the Marine Corps being ordered into like LA, like we saw LA, for example, like if that were to replicate itself into other cities, that seems to me that those would be unlawful orders either through posse comitatus or without invocation of the Insurrection Act, things like that. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I've absolutely, because if you look back through history and see any other time that either the National Guard or, I mean, an active duty branch of the military being deployed on its own civilians, any time that has gone down where the governor has not been on board with it has always ended in the loss of life for no damn reason. But yes, absolutely, that is an unlawful, like per the Uniform Code of Military Justice, because that is not following legal orders. Yeah, that would be considered unlawful, and I would expect to see those people held accountable, similar to the Nuremberg trials of the 1940s.
Sure. The Hate Next Door. The book is called The Hate Next Door: Undercover Within The Hate Next Door: Undercover Within the New Face of White Supremacy. It's a book by Matson Browning. It's available where you get your books. Put it that way.
Yep.
Eli, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate your service. Congratulations on, I'm sure, which is a very well-distinguished career. I'm sorry you're going through this. It must be debilitating and horrible for you to see fellow servicemen and women and non-binary individuals facing this. So thank you for what you do, and I appreciate you. Please come back and keep us posted, okay?
Absolutely. If there's anybody who is active duty or in the Guard or anything, you have any questions or you're scared, feel free. My inbox is open, and I can help you. Please don't do something silly. Don't do something foolish. All right, but thank you. I appreciate you, sir. I'm sorry. I don't know if I said sir, but Steve. See you later.
You got it. Anytime, Eli. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. See you later. Okay, so then I think I asked that question specifically. I just want to hear from somebody specifically regarding the UCMJ. I think that the Guard element is complicated because we've seen presidents supersede authority there. But active duty military, Marine Corps, Army, whatever that might be, being deployed to the streets of our country is a violation of the law. So if there's any veterans out there, any active duty members of the Marine Corps or the Army, you don't have to abide by that order. Remember what it is that you took an oath to. The Constitution, not the office, not the man, not the flag, not some doctrine other than the doctrine that governs us all, which is the United States Constitution. Okay? I want to remind people of something real quick. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Keep that in mind when you're asking yourself what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Okay? Please. Good morning, Chance. How are you today?
Hey, how are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I've been listening to the law for a little bit, and I totally agree with what everyone is speaking about everybody finding their different ways to protest and to fight and to resist. I am all for that. in my circumstance, the way that I resist, like where I live, I'm from Oklahoma, so I'm, Ruby Red State. But I live around a lot of Trump supporters, and a lot of them are police officers, and I've spoken to them about, how they feel. I mean, and it's I have a really good conversations, I would say, generally respectfully, respectful conversations and stuff with them about, what's going on, how they feel, different things like that. But a lot of them still, even though it's, the law and all that, they still, they still support Trump in their own personal rights and stuff like that. I've just been laid off in Norfolk about 6 months ago, and my boss, things that he would say, things that he knew would directly affect his company. He knew that this administration would, the things that they were doing would directly affect his company, and yet he's still in the voting booth and, voted for Trump. But all of those things being said, I guess like my form of resistance, I would say, I'm still trying to speak to certain people about, why they still vote for these things, why they still vote against their interests and stuff like that. But as a Democrat, I have a question for you, and I'll take it, offline, or, if you want to speak about it, but I'm just so interested in your opinion about once this pendulum swings back, because it will, you have to believe that it will. How do us as Democratic voters and say independents, how do we reform this whole thing? Thinking radically, I like what Governor Newsom is doing. And I don't think that is I don't think he's going overboard as far as like what he's doing as far as redistricting. Do you believe that we start with something like the Supreme Court? We have to be able to, I believe that we have to be able to somehow neutralize this court, because a lot of what they're doing is affecting us for years out. So what's your opinion on what us as Democrats? Yes, we have a plan to resist, but once we have power, then what do we do with that power? You understand? Are we talking about that enough?
Yeah. Do you want my my pragmatic answer or my magic wand answer?
I'll go with your pragmatic.
They're two different answers. So the pragmatic answer is for leadership in the Democratic Party to listen to the progressive voices within their party, because the majority of people want the same things that most progressives want, and they're not radical. Like, we need to be demanding universal health care, for example. We need to be demanding education. Yes. We need to be demanding education reform by overfunding public education. We need to be talking about overturning Citizens United and changing our tax code. Those are things that the majority of our country agree on. Now, from the magic wand answer, I want to pack the Supreme Court. I want 13 judges. I want them as far left as they can possibly be, so that we can swing the pendulum back for human rights. I want to abolish this. I want to abolish the Electoral College, and I want to legislate away the ability for any state to gerrymander. I'd like to start there. And
also ethics reform in the Supreme Court.
Ethics reform, absolutely. And no term limits. And term limits in the Supreme Court.
Exactly. Yep. So I was thinking more in terms of, we have to understand what we're up against and why we're here.
Yep.
And if you look at that and how that happened, it just didn't happen overnight. So I believe that the blueprint is there, and I would personally just love to see, and I love the fight that I'm seeing right now at the Democrats. I love that. Like, I'm absolutely for that. A lot of it, I'm not gonna say it's in vain, but it's not gonna really make a difference if we don't fix it for our kids. And so that's just what I'm seeing, And so when I say like my form of resistance, like I try to talk to as many people as I possibly can, and I'm not, I want to say like 100% politically engaged, but I do pay attention to what's going on around me, and I see things that are happening. And I have 2 daughters, and I'm afraid for them every day,
Girl dad, brother. I got you.
And so I think about these things, and then I think about like, where do we start they have been planning this Project 2025 thing with us and the Heritage Foundation for a long time. Like, this just didn't happen in one day. So how do we? And I haven't spoken to anybody, like, online. It's my first time, jumping on somebody's live, but just to think about where we're going in the path forward, because it's going to get really dark before it's good again. I want to say that. I mean, before it's better, we're going to go into some really dark spaces, and I feel like we're there now. We're heading towards that, and I'm not sure if people are planning what's going to happen after the fact. And so that's just kind of what I wanted to just kind of hear. What other people are thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to summarize, Chance, is that we struggle as a nation to get 62 to 64% of our population, our registered voting population, to vote. That has to change. Right. That number has to go above 75%. Now, people talked about, should we make it a civil penalty if people don't vote? Sure. If that's what it takes to get more people to turn out, then sure. Sign me the fuck up. I mean, at this point, I think we have to throw everything against the wall. Right. Yeah. I really think we do. Like, radical, again, because we can't shame the right into abiding by traditional democratic norms. They don't care. They're going to be unapologetic. So then the only way to counter that is to be as extreme from the political machine perspective, not the ideal. Because listen, universal health care is not extreme. It's not extreme. Don't let anybody tell you it is. But if they want to play this game, then do we introduce constitutional legislation to overturn the Second Amendment? Okay, if they want to play this game, and I'm a two-way supporter, I'm a firearms owner. I'm just giving an example. If that's the game that they want to play, then let's play. Then let's fucking play. Right.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on. I just really wanted to just hear some opinions on that and see where we're going.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Chance. Thanks for being here, friend. Have a good day. See you later. All right, bye. He brings up really good points, right? So again, my pragmatic answer as to what I think can get accomplished, and then there's my wish list. So what I have said to you guys, and I've tried to be consistent on this, I don't want table scraps, friends. I am tired of table scraps. I am tired of this whole, we can't have this. We can't have that. I say, fuck that. I say, fucking demand it. Absolutely demand it. I go back and forth on term limits in Congress, and I'll tell you why. As somebody who served in state government, you develop relationships with people across the aisle from a bipartisan perspective. Now, I truly do believe in this. I might get a lot of heat for this. I do believe that the best legislation is bipartisan legislation. I really do believe that. And I just because there's so many examples of some of the most effective legislation passed in our nation's history has been bipartisan. Now, I'm not saying that we should approach this from a bipartisan perspective, but when you have such a divided country, when you really have margins that are very slim under normal conditions, a 4 or 5 seat majority in the House, right? It's difficult to get any big pieces of legislation passed, right? So if that were the case, then I'd say we need to be finding legislation that works for I'm not going to say both sides, but to get significant legislations passed. With that being said, if you get a 25 or 30 seat majority in the House, Democrats, then you demand universal fucking health care. You find fucking sponsors and you get the shit fucking done. And you stop talking about it and you stop throwing us carrots and you stop throwing us little crumbs and you fucking demand it. And by the way, if anybody is interested in hiring me to write Project 2029, you can find me right here Monday through Friday, 8 till noon, or message me. Because I tell you right now, I have a vision as to what this country could look like. In fact, I wrote it. It's on my Substack. You can find it there. If you want to see what I really think our country could look like, if you want to see what it could look like, imagine what our nation would look like if the 3 things that we did, overturn Citizen United, universal health care, and overfund public education. Just think about that alone as to what the changes how different our nation would look. Seriously, that's what we have to start. Chance brought up a really good question. Again, I'm a pragmatic progressive, meaning that I know what I stand for. I also know I need public transportation, which is the Democratic Party, to get me there, at least for now. At least for now. Hi, Nikki. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, all this stuff with the USMCJ, I think it is. I'm wondering, where are the military leaders? I was wondering that during the election, why they wouldn't come out and speak.
Well, some of them have. We've heard it's after the fact, right? They are. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think what we've seen is if any of military, especially high-ranking military leaders, speak out, they're going to get fired. So that's what we've seen, right? So maybe they feel like they can do more good on the inside than they could on the outside.
Well, you talk to Jolly and these guys that are there now. What do they say? I mean, if they're encouraging the current active duty guys not to follow unauthorized orders, why wouldn't that apply to the leaders? And when are they gonna?
It does apply, but the leaders can be fired and replaced.
But not the.
No, they can too, but they all can. I can't speak to it. I don't know enough about the machinations of how the UCMJ works. But what I'm saying is that when we've seen leadership, especially I think about senior leadership in the armed forces. I'm thinking about generals and/or people who have large responsibility. We've seen them fired from this current administration, replaced with people who just aren't qualified, right? I mean, think about our the Department of the Secretary of Defense, just incompetent, completely unqualified for his position, and he's going to be the person that would fire somebody, right?
Yeah, well, maybe they should just leave and not do it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
And ultimately, the problem is, and Obi just brought this up. He just read my mind. It's supposed to be apolitical. The whole point of the military is it's supposed to be apolitical. You can't just when you're on duty or serving, you cannot be political. That's part of the deal. Obi, I don't know if you're free, if you want to jump in for a second and talk about it, but so you can't speak out. You are under obligation to ignore and or disobey an unlawful order. That's different, but they can't speak out about it publicly as they're serving. That's part of that might be something we should consider changing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I hope something happens soon. Thanks for your time, Steve.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here, Nikki. Appreciate you. I mean, it raises a very good point. I'm about to be 58. I don't know if I'm going to live long enough to see what I want this country to look like. I really don't. But the table scraps doesn't work for me anymore. Just doesn't. It just doesn't work for me anymore. I'm sick and tired of living in this environment where it's just, we get just enough, right? I don't want that anymore. Charles, how are you today? I don't want that anymore. Yeah, you got a background. You got an echo, Charles.
I'm doing okay.
You got a background. You got an echo, Charles. You got to turn off the Bluetooth, please. Thank you.
Okay, how about now? Is it better?
All good. It's all good. Thank you, sir.
All right. I want to go off what the last lady said, but the generals and everybody else that's not disobeying these orders. I'm beginning to think that this is the separation where you will have those that will disobey and those that will obey. That's the reason why I came up.
It kind of seems like that. Again, it's what's considered unlawful. That's why I asked the question earlier. I mean, I guess that would be up to the individual to determine, or even if something that they just completely disagree with. You may be right. I mean, the military, from what I know, is supposed to be apolitical, which I do find interesting, though. If they play Fox News, yeah. I've been told kind of main lines at bases across the country exactly. and around the world. So that would seem like it would be in violation of that apolitical principle. Like I don't know, but you bring up a really good point. You bring up a very good point, and that's we've already seen the divide in our citizenry. I'm sure there are people who are serving. They're just like, this is just not what I signed up for. having to patrol U.S. streets, that just doesn't seem like anybody would have signed up for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair question.
I
question.
put it all together by looking at it for people, and then knowing that only certain people will volunteer. So that, to me, that's like how they're dividing everything up between those that will follow Trump and those that won't.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's probably going to come down to that. Now, we know a lot of people who took the oath to defend the Constitution or participated in January 6th, so we know that they're oath-breaking traitors. So I think there's a lot of them that still exist, and that's unfortunate. And I mean, I can call them out. I know members of the active duty and or veterans will call them out as well. So it's just like, this is where we're at. This is where we're at.
Well, a little bit about my background. I did run for Congress last year for my first time, and I lost 40 to 60. And yes, indeed. And right now I'm fighting the UNC system, University of North Carolina system, for disenfranchising minority businesses. I've done 3 protests. Well, 2 protests, to be honest. And they know what I'm doing. I've been interviewed many times. And I'm fighting small to defeat what's about to happen, basically. And I thank you for what you're doing. I listen to you all the time.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. I think we've spoken before, as a matter of fact. You seem familiar. You seem familiar to me. Have we spoken before?
We haven't, but I've been in other lives dealing with other people, especially when I was running for Congress. So you may have known me by that.
Maybe so.
So, yes. So
well,
I've been.
I believe anybody who's out there fighting whatever in whatever capacity, like I've been trying to implore people every day, Charles, to do something. So thank you, sir, for doing something, more than just something, by doing a lot, actually. By doing a lot.
Look, this is the first time I wanted to speak with you about this, and I was wondering how this was going to pan out. And the last person spoke up, and I was like, you're looking at the willing versus the unwilling. Like you said, it's supposed to be apolitical.
Correct.
Yes. So now I'm figuring everything out. So I will put that into action, and I don't know what to do with that. Honestly, I'm continuing to fight.
That's what we can do. I mean, I can hear a bit of the exhaustion in your voice, sir. Hang in there. We have to remind others. I mean, it's not just us too. It's about the next generation. It's about reminding people what we're fighting for. You know, I got to see my daughter on her first day of her senior year of high school this morning. You know, I clearly know what I'm fighting for. Just people reminding themselves. I asked my mods this morning to take a deep breath, close their eyes, and just remember who it is and what it is that we're all fighting for. Can't forget that, right? Can't forget that.
But we forget we the people. We're supposed to be fighting for one another, not on the complexion on what we look like. Correct. I mean, the 1% are controlling everything about us. Why and how?
Correct.
This is we give up 5 days for a day and a half of freedom. No, something's wrong with this.
Yeah, I mean, Charles, the design by, especially under the pressure of other authoritarians. I mean, Vladimir Putin's goal to destabilize our country. Authoritarians want the masses to fight amongst themselves while they're ripping us off. So, and that's obviously happening.
That is the problem. Yes, that is the problem. I'm trying to stop the fight with ourselves and actually look at the serious problems. We're working and giving up our tax dollars and receiving nothing back. Go to a convenience store, give them money, and walk out. That's exactly what we're doing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you for jumping in today, sir. I appreciate it. Please come back, okay?
Thank you. I will.
You got it. Have a great day. Be well. Brings up that it's ultimately comes down to that for me, guys. Look at that. There's a good head for you. No shower today. Out of the house quick at last minute. It's the whole point, isn't it? Isn't it the whole point? We've been saying it all along, forever and ever and ever, right? The goal is from the autocrats around the world, in particular Vladimir Putin. I spend a lot of time talking about Putin, friends, because I've studied it. I know what's on his radar. He goes to bed every night dreaming of how he can destabilize our country. Every single night, it's on the top of his list. And he just strokes the ego or whatever else of the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing frauds or convicted felon name on a list. And he gets everything that he wants. He gets the photo op. He gets the U.S. military under orders from their commanders to tack down the red carpet. He gets the president of the United States to applaud him on U.S. soil. He gets the president of the United States to stroke the back of his hand. He gets the president of the United States to defer to him at the press conference. He gets the president of the United States to talk all strong about how we're going to solve this. He goes home. He orders an airstrike on a U.S. factory in Ukraine. And then he leaves the president scrambling again. It's just, oh, I see Buzzy. It's the whole model, the entire model from the right and from authoritarians is to destabilize our nation. And lo and behold, the president of the United States is the destabilizer in chief. Hi, Buzz.
Hi, good morning. So I was listening to the conversation being had, and I just wanted to say that cruelty is the point, right? That the overarching point is cruelty. That and feeling like something is being taken away from them by giving to others, even though they don't need it. I don't know who told the United States of America that majority of the people on social service programs were the minorities in this country. And just the way that numbers work, that would not be possible by way of them being the minority in this country. I would implore anybody who feels that way to do just a modicum of research and understand that majority of social service programs in the United States of America go to rural areas. Majority of the rural areas are in red states. Again, majority of rural America are in red states. Also, when it comes to social service programs and the benefits of those, you have to be impoverished. The social service programs in the United States of America, to qualify for those, you have to be making less than the area median income. And when I mean less, you have to be making 30% or less of the area median income. And if you make just a smidgen more, just one little smackaroon more than that threshold, you will not qualify for benefits. And for all of you saying that, well, people get on these social service programs and they stay forever. That's the problem. They just stay and stay and stay. They don't want better for themselves. Republicans did not set it up for these people to be able to have better for themselves. Because once again, the minute they make over those income thresholds, all of those services that allowed them to get to that point are taken away. And they're back at ground zero. And once again, they need those services. America makes those people dependent on those services. And if you're going to play obtuse, like you don't understand what I'm saying, there are disabled individuals in the United States of America that receive SSDI. I want to be clear in understanding that SSDI and SSI are two different things, right? For the people that receive SSI, these people that receive these benefits, they do not have the ability to work because of whatever their ailments are, that does not allow them to work a regular 9 to 5 or to work a job at all, depending on the severity of their disability. They can't get married. They can't have $2,000 in their bank. They can't build a savings. They can't have a nest egg. They're not allowed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They're not allowed to strive for better. It doesn't matter if they find a pathway on social media sharing their lives. It doesn't matter if they find a pathway having a hobby at home. They're not allowed to want better for themselves. They're not allowed to do better. And beyond that, because of how income works in the United States of America, they can't get married. Because if they get married, that takes them above the income threshold and they no longer qualify for benefits. I want you to do just a modicum of research. I want you to pick up the internet, and it's not like you don't have access because all 900 plus of you right now are on the interwebs watching this handsome man talk to you. You're all listening to this handsome man share with you this information. And so many of you are typing the most baffling things in this comment section because you won't read anything else. You want to feel how you feel and sit in that because you feel like somebody's stolen something from you. The people receiving these benefits have nothing to take from you. They have nothing that you can gain from. They have severely less than you. They are surviving on less than you because this country makes them do it.
So well said, Buzz. And then there's another group of people similarly that are in the range where they make too much to qualify for any particular benefits, and they don't make enough for private insurance. So the ACA becomes a potential, intermediary sort of thing.
Correct.
That's where I'm at.
And
That's the bucket that I'm in.
And I just stated that I want people to do just a modicum of research. Somebody commented that they usually agree with me, but they work every day and they're on SSA. You can only work a certain amount of hours. You can only make a certain amount of money depending on what your benefits are. Not everybody receives the same threshold when it comes to the Social Security Administration. Everybody is receiving different amounts. You can work up to a certain extent, depending on how much money you get. You might be able to work more than others. You might be able to work less than others. But believe me when I tell you, if you hit that threshold at any given point, if you go beyond that threshold at any given point, the Social Security Administration is going to start garnishing the money that you get to make up for the fact that they feel like they have now overpaid you, even though you did the work.
As always, Buzz, right from the freaking soul to everybody else out there listening. How you holding up? You holding up okay in general?
Yeah, no, I'm doing well, still living in the house state of Florida, but doing the absolute best I can, listening to conversations, participating when I feel comfortable to do so, and just really taking care of what's happening in my own personal life and the growth that's happening there, doing the things that I said that I would do when the election ended. I told people that I was going to go to school. I told people that I was going to step away. I'm in school. I stepped away. I have a relationship that's doing really well. We're building a life together, all of these things. And so all of this requires time and extension that I'm not necessarily always willing to extend to the masses that choose to be who they are, because I have always operated from the perspective that these conversations are not going to change someone's mind, but on the best, they'll give somebody the information they need to dig a little bit deeper. And so I hope that people continue to do that. I hope they continue to dig a little bit deeper.
That's always the goal. Thank you, my friend. As always, good to talk to you. It's been a while. Stay happy and stay an inspiration for many. I appreciate you, Buzz. Take care. Love Buzzy. So good to talk to her. All right. Everybody, please keep tapping. 45 away from the goal. I've got a few thank yous to issue, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
Well,
I know this topic. I know this topic must have hit.
Yes. Well, your topic's always hit, so that's kind of an irrelevant question. So, the thing is, like, it takes a village to raise a child, and takes a village or a community to raise an adult. I think that we've kind of shifted away from that mindset. We've gone, like, we need to help each other in turn, and that is why we got to be there for one another. What do you think, or can you?
I mean, I think that goes without saying. I mean, we talk about this often, in our community about what doing something looks like. Now, I have not evolved enough yet necessarily for that reach out across the table of people who vote to violate the rights of people that I care about. So I'm not there yet, but I know there are plenty of people in our country that just need a push to get involved. They may be apathetic in regards to voting, or they may not participate in their democracy, or they may not support activism. They may just be, just churning through life, not getting a lot out of life, not contributing a lot to life. One of the reasons that I do a lot in my community, because it makes me feel really good. I don't do it for praise. I don't do it for recognition. I do it because I know I'm helping somebody, and I do it because it makes me feel good. And I just wish more people looked at things like that. Because I think there are a lot, to be honest, I think there are just a lot of fakes that brag about the things that they do, and they don't do it other than getting the notoriety for themselves. And I can't stand those people. I can't stand them.
And that is why I formed Meals with a Friend, and I honestly think because my grandma's health concerns have drastically grown. It's like she's forgetting things left and right. That having that one meal a day, that one nutritious meal a day, has made her live so much better, and I think it is what has gotten to, or what is benefiting helping herself without her realizing it, because she's kind of too gone to realize that, hey, I need connection. And but going back to my this client, the client is 93, and she's very racist and closed-minded. I mean,
it's difficult because that's what we come across that a lot, Chad. We come across that a lot. There's people that are just, that we feel like could really benefit from some help, but they just live in this bubble of hatred. They just live in an environment where they don't understand the impact of their actions. People show up in our life every single day, and they're cheering this shit on. Now, a lot of them are trolls. I know that, but there's a lot of people that aren't trolls that are literally cheering this on, and they just don't get it. So it's people like you. You decided to do something. Obviously, it benefits people in your community, but it also benefits others, and it benefits you. The point of generosity and kindness and empathy and being humble towards the needs of others is refreshing and rewarding. And as empaths, we joke about this in our community about how we would like to form Empath Island. We'd never get anything done, but everybody else's needs to be met. Everybody else's needs to be met. We would. That's all we'd be doing, right? Yeah. So I just want to make sure that that you keep that in mind. Don't stop living with a servant's heart. Because if we do, then there's nothing worth fighting for anymore, right?
Yeah, but okay. Yeah. So, but the one thing though that I needed help with, because there's a lot of work to be done, and
there is,
and I mean, so coming back to the whole, it takes a village to raise an adult. I mean, so if anyone would love to connect with me and help, or just someone that I can bounce ideas off of, because I have fantastic ideas, and just
you do,
yeah,
you do, and the link to your program, Meals with a Friend, exists in the link tree in my bio. Any final thoughts, my friend?
Well, I'm starting to turn it into a not-for-profit, and that way we can reach more people and help raise the community to expand to more clients.
That's the goal of everybody. It's an example for many that we can all do something. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. Good to talk to you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay. There's, I just watch the comments go by, and it's just like, you guys, it's just, you can sit up here. A lot of you come to my live every single day. And by the way, Patrick, for some of your bullshit this morning, you are officially out of the throuple. There's no more hope for you. In fact, you're going to be parking my car. That's the closest you're going to get to the throuple. Although it's turned into a polyuple. There's numerous people that want to be in our community. But anyway, there's just people that are commenting, are celebrating this. Now I've got to assume that so many are just trolls, because how is that? What's it called? A polycule? Okay, sure. I'm down. No problem. Hey, no problem. When you're getting older, anybody who wants to talk to you is a good thing. Anyway, do you understand that this affects you too? Do you understand? See, here's the difference. If this was an elected Democrat, okay, and that person, whether it be Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or a no-name Democrat, and they're doing the same thing, I would be calling this fucking shit out because of how disgusting and deplorable and despicable and how anti-American this is. Why can't you guys? It's you can't have it both ways. You can't walk through the world claiming that you care about your country. You can't espouse, that's a big word. You can't stand on a box and yell in support of how you don't want the government up in your business. Okay? Because there's nothing more government in your business than this shit. You can't stand there and claim that you care about crime when the red states that you live in are the leaders in crime. Why is it that 8 of the top 10, 12 of the top 15 cities in our country are in Republican states, the highest rates of crime? And this is where education matters, because you all think that a state that might have a Democrat mayor or a city that might have a Democrat mayor has different laws. State laws govern cities in the state. The people who claim to care about crime have the highest rates of crime. The people who say they claim to care about kids have the lowest graduation rates, the highest rates of childhood poverty, the highest rates of people in general living below the poverty line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We pay your fucking bills because y'all are incompetent. You can't balance your own damn budgets. We pay your shit. I'm going to use this brief moment because it reminded me of something. You guys know how I love receipts. I've got a good one for you. Everybody loved Ted Cruz, right? We all love Ted. We all love Ted Cruz. This is hilarious. In an attempt to try to justify what Texas is doing, he's trying to make this big argument that there's a mass migration from California to Texas. I got the receipts.
Favorite statistic, Sean. The cost of a one-way U-Haul from California to Texas is more than 300% the cost of a U-Haul going the other way around, because they're all going one way. They ain't going the other. And I'll give you an even more stunning statistic. The cost of a one-way U-Haul from Silicon Valley to Austin, Texas is more than 500% the cost of a U-Haul going the other way, because no one's going the other way.
Really, Ted? Really? So you know what I did, friends? I went to U-Haul's website, and Ted's claim was go from Silicon Valley to Austin, Texas. Really? What do the receipts say? So this is from San Francisco to Austin. I just picked a date in the future. September 29th, 2025. Okay? So this is the truck. So we'll use the 10-foot truck, and the price is, I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, let me just do $1,638. Okay? San Francisco to Austin, September 29th, 2025, U-Haul's website, 10-foot moving truck, $1,638. Now, When you go to the tape, Jim, and you go and you hold on, when you go and you look at the actual cost of what it would look like in reverse, this is Austin, Texas to San Francisco. Same date, same size truck. Well, looky there. $600 more expensive. What do you know? What do you know, Ted? What was that you had to say, Ted?
One of my favorite statistics, Sean. The cost of a one-way U-Haul from California to Texas is more than 300%. The cost of a U-Haul
California to Texas, September 29th, in the future, 10-foot moving truck, $1,638. What was that again, Ted?
Going the other way around because they're all going one way. They ain't going the other, and I'll give you an even more stunning statistic.
Okay.
The cost of a one-way U-Haul from Silicon Valley to Austin, Texas is more than 500% the cost of a U-Haul going the
Actually, buddy, you're wrong, my dude. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. So you go there, and this is what I'm talking about. This is an example of what I'm talking about. Is when you get people who go onto right-wing spaces and you just say this bullshit, and because he's a fucking MAGA Republican, the mouth-breathing fucknuts that exist in that space will believe it. Yeah, fucking Ted fucking told me it's more expensive to rent a U-Haul to go from California to Texas than it is the other way. Well, actually, I got the stats where well, that's fake news. So the U-Haul website is fake? Yup, that's fake. It was built on a fake woke platform. You guys can do the exercise yourself. You don't have to believe me. You don't want to believe the radical commie leftist. I don't know what to say, but the truth doesn't lie. Good morning, my brother. How are you today?
Well, I'm actually doing really well. Yesterday was the 20th anniversary, so, still just...
Everybody, hearts in the chat for Obi and our wife for celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary. Send them the love that they deserve.
We, of course, did it at Disney because that's what we do.
Of course you did.
Yes. I just want to tell people, if you come to Disneyland, save money and get a good, comfortable pair of shoes. Because Jen and I have this thing where we're just like, yeah, I get you wanted to look good for your prospective other, but some shoes are just not Walt Disney friendly. Heels of any type are not Walt Disney friendly. I'm just saying.
I shouldn't wear my stilettos.
I mean, listen, I would actually pay to see that, and
I got the legs for it.
I will start a GoFundMe to do that.
I can only imagine what's going to happen in mod chat after I just said what I said.
Well, I mean, what kind of a hand job will you get?
Hey, now!
In a pair of stilettos.
Ho! Hey!
Hey! Work it, girl. Somebody had asked why officers don't speak out, and you saw what I said. They cannot, right? They cannot be seen as doing anything political. The UCMJ has rules.
Can I clarify that? They cannot or they will not?
Cannot do anything political. This is why when in uniform, if it's going to be any type of perceived political event and you're just doing a color guard, you have to get permission to be at that event in uniform if you're doing something official, right? Even as extreme as this will seem, veteran service organizations, if you're at a particular event, you're not supposed to be in your VFW uniform. This is something the military indoctrinates in you from the moment you get to boot camp.
Okay, this is where I'm confused. Okay,
yes.
so I understand under normal operating conditions. I get it. You can't present yourself as political. But if we're talking about if we're talking about UCMJ, So if a
Yes.
commanding officer, a high-ranking official, a colonel and above, whatever that would look like, are we saying that a colonel can't disobey an order?
No, you could. Well, listen, at your own peril, you may do as you choose. You have that right, right? But the military also reserves the right to make decisions on your behalf, meaning
Property.
ending your career because you are
Got it.
property of the United States military, right?
So even
So
though you're obligated to disobey an unlawful order,
it is
you're
correct.
obligated.
It's still right. Even though you can, right? The way the system is set up is that there's always going to be a review of that action, right? If you want the most recent examples that were ever publicly recorded or released, I do believe you'd have to go back to the war in Vietnam, in which that started happening on a regular occurrence, right? Where young officers and older officers were refusing to do things, and then they were quietly moved, right? I don't know if that happened in Iraq or Afghanistan. Certainly don't remember anyone writing about that. This is like a slippery slope, right?
Okay.
Because
Can I make it? Can I give it a practical? Let me ask you a practical question. Then let's just make it. Let's just make it real. So you're still in the Navy, okay? And you're ordered to go into the streets of Chicago.
Yeah.
And you refuse. What happens to you?
Well, there would be an assessment of why you refused the direct order. You would still have to go in front of a panel as an officer and go through a review process. And whatever that panel decides is what's decided, right? So that would include the people who have complete operational control of your unit or your division, right? So the highest ranking members, and you could be summarily punished for that if they believe that you are wrong, right? Now punishment could look like
whomever
numerous things.
whomever the arbiter is, it may not be JAG, it could just be anybody, correct?
Well, JAG is always going to be there when it gets to a particular level. That doesn't change, right? Because you have the right to counsel for if you're being accused of a crime, right? The initial investigation would be done inter-command, right? So there'd be people in the command that would do that. The thing that you had asked earlier, and I put a link in the mod chat for Discord that helps differentiate National Guard reservists and active duty. But do keep in mind, once you take the oath, you're in the military. They're just different divisions and different branches, right? So the National Guard is, typically speaking, the United States Army, right? But the Navy has a reserve force, the Air Force has a reserve force, but the National Guard gets broken down into the Federal National Guard, right, which is the one that's run by states, but that can be called up through federal action. And then there is the state level guard, which is more of a volunteer org, and typically comprised of former military. So it gets pretty deep, but at the end of the day, everyone is held to account by the UCMJ. It doesn't matter whether you're in the National Guard or the Marine Corps as an active duty Marine, right?
Okay.
And let us not forget, once a Marine, always a Marine. So there's no such thing as a former Marine.
So the question that Miss Kristen asked is the one that I was trying to ask. Is refusing an order potentially okay? You're obligated to refuse an unlawful order, but is refusing that order then a crime?
No, there's no underlying crime, but it doesn't mean that you won't go unpunished if it was deemed a lawful order.
Got it.
Right? So one of
Got
the
it.
things they teach you early on at boot camp is, well, at least in the Navy, was the term was, don't try to be a sea lawyer, right? Like, don't go out over the tips of your skis for you New Englanders, right? Just try to remember that you know what the rules are, right? And there is a process, as people have mentioned, right? So there are people you can go to and voice your concerns, and their job is to help you sort that out, right?
Okay.
But remember,
Okay.
you can take it as far as you want to take it. It may not end up well for you, but you certainly have every right to take it as far as you can take it.
Before I bring up Navy vet, Obi, is there anything that you would like to say to people who are, I know to each his own, right? People are going to process these things the way they are. Is there anything that you'd like to say to veterans and or active duty right now when in dealing what it is that we're dealing with now?
I think it's really important that people understand what their moral compass is, right? And knowing what the right thing is to do and when you're supposed to do that right thing. I think the problem is in today's society is that so many young men, specifically cis men in the military, have been fucking red pilled, right?
Yeah.
Or identify as a particular thing, right? So do what you can to protect yourself. Remember, at the end of the day, being in the military is just a fucking job. That's it. It is no different than somebody that works at fucking McDonald's. And you can miss me with your bullshit if you think it's anything other than a job, because that's all it is, right? It's a job that's worse than working at McDonald's, because at least in McDonald's, when you punch out, you get to go home and have freedom. In the military, you're indoctrinated. You have to continue to be on alert and do what they tell you to do. It's not what it's fucking cracked up to be, right? If I could do it all over again, would I do it all over again? Most likely not. Certainly not today. And I sure as fuck wouldn't recommend anyone joining today. There's absolutely no way that my moral compass would allow that. But listen, if you're in, you're in. You made a decision. You raised your hand. Congratulations. But just do what is right for you. Not for anybody else. Not for your country. Not for anybody but you. So if you don't feel like doing something, fucking put your foot down. Don't do it. Take the lumps. Take the consequences. There's plenty of us here that will be here to help you out if you decide to get out.
Very well said. Navy vet, thanks for being here. Appreciate you joining us. What's on your mind today?
Not a whole lot. I'm basically in line with what Obi's saying on the disobeying orders. The thing is when I've done some discussions on this, and when I was in the Navy as an E4 and below, you just did it. You didn't question anything because you didn't have any knowledge of what was right and wrong. You had what you're trained, but you knew when training, when you questioned something and did the training time out, you got intense training, which means you were worked in the gym with closed doors in the middle of summer, so it got very hot. But as an E5, you get a little smarter and you say, this is not right, but you don't say it in public. You take your LPO, leading petty officer, and possibly your chief and possibly division officer into the office, and you discuss it. And then they decide whether they're going to take it to JAG or take it further up the chain of command. And if it goes to your division officer, to the operations officer, which was up from the Divo, they would decide if they wanted to take it to JAG, man, and usually they did, because the XO is going to ask, did you ask JAG? And if you get to that point, you're asked all along the way, are you sure you want to keep going with this? And the second that order was deemed lawful, enlisted are going to be sitting in front of the captain explaining why they disobeyed a lawful order. And that could be 2 months pay, half month, 2.5 months pay, basically a half month for 2 months.
Career even potentially, right?
Yes, you would get reduction in rank and no possibility of going up. And if you're an E5, you're probably getting close to high year, 10 year. And you're not going to make it to E6, so you might as well give up, and that's what it basically is. It ends your career. And your officers are thinking about their career because most of the senior officers are close to retirement. If they get hit with a disobeying the lawful order, their retirement's gone. Everything's gone. They lose all credibility.
Do either one of you, or had either one of you ever experienced someone that you knew that you served alongside who did disobey an unlawful order? Do either one of you have any experience with that happening that you know of?
Yeah. During what we deemed back then were the witch hunts during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, I watched a very young ensign who I'm still friends with 30 plus years later literally refuse to say that a service member was indeed gay and needed to be kicked out. This service member, who was also my friend, was an E6 and was up for E7, and a senior officer didn't like him. Eventually what happened is, unfortunately, our friend got kicked out of the Navy under suspicion of being gay. By the way, was and still is. The ensign, probably, I think Sean lasted about 6 months after that was all over. And then they basically gave him an out because the Navy recognized that Sean was in the right for doing what he was doing because Sean was following the law, the policy that had been written. But the senior officer didn't like Sean or the enlisted person. So unfortunately, Sean's career got cut short. Irony of all ironies, Sean got out of the Navy and then spent the next 27 years working at the Pentagon. So that was a fuck you to all those guys. And at the end of the day, Sean's the winner.
How about you, Navy vet? Ever experienced anything like that?
I've experienced mostly juniors doing it. I'm talking E3 and below. And usually it was a BS reason, so they ended up in NJP, period. I have seen the Don't Ask, Don't Tell come back to bite some people in the rear. But yeah, it's usually the juniors do it on the majority, at least what I saw while I was in. And
so Obi said, go ahead. Sorry, Navy vet, go ahead.
No, and if it's done right, you won't hear about the ones that disobeyed and were done with NJP because that's supposed to be done all behind closed doors.
Exactly. That was my next question because it could be happening now. Like we don't know of. We don't know because it's not going to be publicized because obviously that would not be a good look, right? Because especially if there's momentum and there's more and more individuals who've taken the oath of saying this is just not what I signed up for. Obi was very clear. His call to his either current people that are active duty or former brothers in arms or brothers and sisters in arms and or veterans, his was check your moral compass. Would you have any advice and or guidance to people who are now, in these awkward positions of having to roam American streets? Any advice to any of them, Navy vet?
Basically, yeah, check your moral compass, but realize what you're there, what you signed up for, and realize that not everybody is the enemy. And not everybody's the boogeyman. Do what you need to do to keep your job. If you want to stay in the job, do it. If you want to fight at the system, there are people out here that will help.
I appreciate that. Thank you for your service, Navy vet. Thanks for jumping in today. Yeah. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
See you later. You got it, buddy. Take care. So yeah, I was thinking about you. That's why I messaged you, Obi. And again, a happy belated anniversary to you and our wife. I appreciate you, pal. But anything else that you'd like to kind of share on this topic, or anything else that's on your mind?
I really want to encourage people to help the veterans that have already organized and are out there doing things. Please don't just jump in because you think that you need to be performative. let those that have already organized and started this lead the way. Just be there to help them, right? What we don't need is a bunch of people trying to be performative and taking away from the mission and the message. And I think that's the most vital thing. So do what you can to help out, right? Figure out where they are. We'll get links out on link trees and in Discord conversations. But let's not be fake and performative. Let's let those who have already led the way and have been leading the way to be the leaders of these things, right?
Great advice.
And
Great
help
advice.
them in any way that you can.
That's great advice, as always. I appreciate you, my dude.
Appreciate you, dude.
Very much.
Love you, bro.
I'll talk to you later. I love you too, man. See you later. That's great advice. I mean, I feel it's weird because I understand what they're both saying and I get it. So basically, the UCMJ exists because it kind of has to exist, but it's not going to end well necessarily for someone who challenges it. And they're going to keep it under wraps and they're not going to publicize it. And I understand why they wouldn't do that because you certainly wouldn't want that information to be out there publicly. Now, would you? No, you would not. Anyway, keep tapping, friends. Appreciate y'all very, very much. Fluffy, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Are you guys pro-Trump or are you guys Democrats?
Oh no, I'm pro-democracy. Are you pro-democracy?
Okay. Yeah. No. I actually didn't vote last year.
Why not?
Yeah, Trump is a little bit questionable.
A little bit questionable?
Yeah, because I did vote Republican previously.
So could we unpack that a second though? A little bit questionable.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Well,
so you think
we'll
it's
see
okay
how
for
this
the president? So it's okay for so it's okay for an executive order from the president, basically taking away a person's rights to free speech. You're cool with that?
Not cool with that at all. Are you cool with his allegiance to Israel?
No, I'm not. Are you?
You're not? No, that's why I didn't vote for him in 24. I don't like the AIPAC, and I don't like his allegiance to Israel.
But you couldn't bring yourself to vote. But you said a little bit. You said a little bit. You think it's okay. You said you don't think it's okay that he literally issued an executive order yesterday telling people that if you burn an American flag, you're going to spend a year in jail. That's violation of your First Amendment rights. That's not a little bit. This is the President of the United States.
So what happens when you burn an Israeli flag, even before yesterday?
Nothing.
What happens? Can I burn an Israeli flag?
If it's yours, you can.
Okay, so
if it's yours,
you go to jail for that in the United States, right?
No, you don't.
And this was before yesterday. Yes, you do.
No,
yes,
you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Look it up.
No,
yes,
you don't. No, you don't. Hey, fuck nut. Get the fuck out of here. Look it up, dude. Look it up. You go fucking look it up. I think, you know what? I think the fascist in the fucking White House, I think the fascist is just a little bit broken. Oh my God. You can be anachronista, that's not entirely true. If you burn your own property, depending on where you are, you're not held accountable. I went through that exercise. Give me a fucking break. Oh my God. If you stole the flag, yes. If it's somebody else's property and you burned it, then yes. But no. Yeah, he's a little bit bad. Give me a fuck. I don't have any tolerance for you fuckers anymore. I just don't. Get out of my face. I'm interested in talking to you. This is why I don't debate anymore, because I don't have the patience for it. Unbelievable. Hi, Kat. How are you? Kat, are you there? Kat, are you there? I guess not. I went through the exercise this morning. The American flag, burning the flag, is a constitutionally protected right, affirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States from the Texas v. Johnson decision of 1989. If you were to go to the same area in our country, right? If you were to take an Israeli flag to the same spot that Jay burned an American flag yesterday, the same thing would have happened to you that happened to Jay. You would have been cited for burning something in public property, either without a permit and or in an area that is restricted. This is what I'm talking about. It's the rhetoric. Exactly. Thank you, Francis. I saw that too. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. It's just stupid. He's kind of bad. See, this is my theory, right? My theory is none of these cowards are going to go public for their support of Trump anymore. None of them. Oh yeah, I didn't vote. Instead of acknowledging that you voted for him, because in 10 years' time, when Trump is dead, and that will happen, when he's no longer with us, you're going to be asking people. They're either going to lie and say that they didn't vote for him at all, or yeah, they're going to lie. They're going to lie about it. Yeah, that's exactly, Chris. That's like saying New Hampshire. Exactly. That's like saying New Hampshire's only a little bit sucky. It's true. If you know, you know. Seriously, listen, you fake ass fucking patriots, you fucking clown cars, you mouth breathing dumb shits. Just be honest. Prove to us that you are these alphas that you claim to be, and stand with your principles that you voted for a fascist, and just acknowledge it. Don't sit there and hide. Don't sit there and hide. Yeah, well, I didn't vote. I didn't like the. Give me a fuck. You guys are the most pathetic. I got to do this. It's just appropriate because it just tracks. It's like everything that we discuss in this space all the time. Absolute cowards. Cowards. You voted for it. Acknowledge it. Either stand behind it or realize how wrong you were. I guess that's option 2. You're either going to just lie or just be like, I fucked up big time. And my gut tells me the overwhelming majority of them are just going to lie. What? Know about the inside? You want to know the inside about New Hampshire? Juju, there's not enough hours in the day. I put it this way, and if you know, you know. New Hampshire is where libertarians go to die. Okay? I'm telling you, it's beautiful. My theory is always I want to build a bridge from the land that doesn't exist to the coast of Maine. It's literally like you guys may remember this guy by the name of Don Bolduc. Don Bolduc ran for senator against Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire. Where I live, if you draw a straight line across the northern tip of Vermont and you head into northwestern New Hampshire, northeastern New Hampshire, the little sliver, basically the upside down from that symbol, that is hardcore MAGA country. Like it would be hard pressed to find a more MAGA area of a state anywhere in the country than up there. Okay? I'm crazy because at New Hampshire, this is about all I'm going to say about it. Caroline Leavitt was born there. New Hampshire, the top 3/4 of the state, like from Manchester north, pretty much MAGA country. And then you've got the corridor that people commute to Boston to work. So like Manchester South, Keene, Nashua, those particular areas. Otherwise, we don't need it. We don't need it. We really don't. Thankfully, the population center where the educated peoples are can cover up for the mistakes of the fucking idiots that are in the northern half of the state. And like I said, if you know, you know. Keene is fun. I agree. I agree. Keene is fun because it borders Vermont. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. See, here's Chris. Chris will agree. Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Listen, New Hampshire is a hellscape. It's a tick on the back of Massachusetts. If it weren't for Massachusetts, all those inbreds would be sucking on rocks because there were no jobs up there. They all come down here and screw up our roads because they don't know how to drive in traffic. So
that's true.
New Hampshire is an absolute hellscape.
It's true.
Nothing good about New Hampshire.
It's true.
You know,
I agree.
We can get liquor on Sundays now, so we don't need New Hampshire anymore.
We don't.
So.
We don't. We don't. I mean, New Hampshire is so bad, friends, that the granite outcropping that was once referred to as the man of the mountain fell off.
Yeah, the old man of the mountain gave up. He said, "That's enough. I've had it."
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I used to work at the airport, and I used to sign people in going onto the airfield. And when people started walking up, I sat there one day and went, "Oh, he's from New Hampshire." I was right every single time. It's just a look and
it's true. What's on your mind today, buddy?
Oh, well, Dean Cain was joining ICE. Do you know, people don't know, Dean Cain's real last name is Tanaka, and members of his family were put in the internment camps during World War II, the American internment camps in World War II.
Really?
Yep.
Did not know that. Interesting.
His real last name is Tanaka. His name is George Dean Tanaka, and
wow. And
a bunch of his family were in internment camps during World War II. Japanese Americans just shipped off, but now he's on ICE, so he can do it.
Of course, yep. And I saw some of the video of him going through the training course, and let's just say that his best days were behind him, long behind him.
Oh, long behind him. Also, earlier you were going on about bipartisan legislation, and I agree with you 100%. Unfortunately, those days right now are gone. The days of Skip O'Neill and John McCain and Ted Kennedy, those days don't exist right now. And the only way we're going to get those days back is we have to vote. We have to vote in numbers and destroy the Republicans, because the only way they're going to come back and work is if they can't win. Because right now, nobody on the Republican side wants to legislate, wants to govern. They just want to destroy.
Correct.
Give.
Well, it's more than that, though, Chris. They can't govern. They want to rule. There's a difference. Governing is different than ruling. They can't govern. They just want to rule.
True, because none of their policies anybody really wants.
Agreed.
I mean, if their policies are so great, they would stop gerrymandering. They would stop suppressing votes, because they know the only way they can win is to keep the vote down, keep the number of people who vote down. And if that's the only way you can win elections, that should say something about your policies.
Well, so TikTok ref, you can request up and defend your policies, because from where I sit, you don't have any. You have to cheat to win elections. If your policies are so popular, TikTok friend, then you would request up and tell me how popular they are.
Exactly.
If you would tell me that, then you would tell me why Texas has to change the map so they can cheat. And don't tell me because California did it. Nope. It's because Donald Trump told Texas to do, because he knows he can't win in a fair fight. So defend it. That's all. But you won't, because you're a coward too.
Yeah. That's it. You're absolutely 100% right, Steve. They can't defend their policies because they know realistically their policies, nobody really wants their policies. In every poll, the big, beautiful bill, nobody likes the big, beautiful bill outside of like Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk doesn't even like it. Correct. At this point, because they cut out a bunch of stuff. That's the problem. Their policies, and all these magatards who keep claiming they're patriots and so forth.
Let's be careful with some of those words, Chris. Not a cool word, bro.
Oh, all right, there, okay? Okay, all right. Yeah. I apologize, but but the fact of the matter is, if you're a patriot, how are you okay with the military being on the streets in this country for no reason? You can say, "Oh, crime." There's no whole group of gangs roaming the streets of D.C. It didn't happen. It doesn't exist.
Nope. Doesn't exist. Never has.
Never has. But these idiots are buying anything. And now the big thing is, they're saving black on black crime. They're saving. That's their big thing they're trying to say now. To try to hide their bigotry.
They're trying to hide their racism by trying to blame it on somebody else. You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for jumping in today, buddy. I appreciate you. All right.
Be good.
Talk to you later. You could. See you later.
Yeet.
Take care. Take care. Take care, dude guy. Listen, I'm not kidding when I talk about New Hampshire. Anybody who lives in New England knows exactly what we're talking about. I will say this, though. If Donald Trump wants to pick a fight with Boston, with Mayor Wu in Boston or in other states or in other regions of the country, all I can say is good luck. All I can say, because people, we tend to keep to ourselves, right? We're the most educated group collectively in the nation, right? We've got Yankee work ethic on our side. Fuck, the origins of our country here. You've got the Green Mountain Boys, the land that doesn't exist, who, by the way, were some of the most influential and instrumental units used to win the Revolutionary War. So just don't fuck with us, okay? We've got good maple candies. We've got good donuts. We've got good syrup. We've got good chocolate. Got good cheese. I'm just saying, we can sustain ourselves. Good beer, good water. Everybody in Vermont's got more than one firearm. We're good. We're fucking good. We could build a wall in like a half a day. No problem. We'd be totally good. We even have maple creamies. Better than sex. Close. Maple creamies after sex. There you go. I'm just saying. Did I just make a commercial for New England? I totally did. Yes. It's true. It's true. I'm telling you. Hey, Cosmic, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. First, I want to say I hope everyone's having a good mental health day because, it's tough. It's tough under this administration.
I agree. Thank you.
So, I feel like I am a Hispanic woman and I live in Florida, unfortunately. And I feel like a little bit of a coward because I'm afraid to go protest and all these protests because I'm a single mom and, if anything happens to me, what's going to happen to my son. But I want to know like a way that we can fight it. For example, gatherings. I feel like we need to start like thinking about like gathering with our neighbors or like-minded people, share foods, start gardening, book clubs, and all that stuff. So I want to know like if you know of any groups that are having like that started that we can join, or if we just need to like take the initiative and start creating those groups that we can join and give each other support.
I'm glad you said it the way that you said it, because my fear is a lot of people will wait for somebody else to do it and then you'll miss the train. So what's keeping you or anybody from doing it yourself?
Exactly. Yeah. So I used to like have like a group of gardening where we share lots of plots of soil where we share like food. So I think I will start that way of like having each person give each other a little bit of plot where we can all share food and have a book club where we can all have like read political books where we can learn how to resist, because I feel like a lot of people might not be aware about how to fight it. I was in the crochet, I forgot her name. She's in the military. She does crochet. She was like sharing some books about Brazil and how they defeated, fascism. And I feel like that is very important for us to learn the techniques from the past of how people achieve to become, a democracy again. So I think that's the initiative that I will take. I feel afraid of protesting.
You might be talking about the knitting cult lady. Yeah, Danielle.
Yeah.
She's a friend of the show. Actually, I've asked her to come back and talk to us about what she's seen recently. She's somebody's great. If you don't follow the knitting 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 cult lady, please follow her. Absolutely fabulous human being. Great story, and she's going to make a great storyteller too. If you're in our Discord, we've got people who in our community that are starting groups like this, and there are people all over the country. So, Cosmic, if you've not yet joined our Discord, please consider doing so, because that's a great.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord. I just doing like punishing myself if like thinking I'm not doing enough out of fear, and I know like it's no time to fear. I even try to like leave, and then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let other people like push me around and tell me that even though I'm a citizen, it's very scary as a Hispanic woman in Florida.
Yeah,
so I just would like to have like-minded people and support, and I know that we are capable of achieving and going back and better. I think we out of this we're going to become better, and that's the only hope that I'm holding.
I appreciate that, Cosmic. Thank you for your inspiring words today. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right. So I've got a few more folks here that I think have requested. See, Anachronista.
Hello, Steve.
Good. Hello, friend. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. And thank you for correcting me in chat, because I always appreciate being corrected when wrong.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's like any property. Like if we take someone else's property and we abuse it, then that's vandalism. That's a crime. But your own property is protected as long as it's not doing harm to someone else.
Quite so. And yes, I've been keeping an eye on the mod Discord to keep up to date with everything. And there's been some really interesting articles shared that I'm definitely going to have a read of after this conversation. But I have slightly happy news for everybody. Please. Today is International Dog Day. So those with dogs and those who love dogs, celebrate your dogs today. Yes, Kipper!
If today is in fact International Dog Day, then there you go. Oh, that's the car ride of the kids coming into their school today. So there you go.
So I thought sometimes we need to just remember the little things that can make us smile, because on both sides of the pond right now, things are getting quite scary with the riots here. And although, British protesters on the far right seem to think that painting roundabouts with the English flag on will achieve something other than increase council tax to clean them. So that's a fun thing. But yes, I'm just looking at my dog, my little old dog. She's does nothing much but sleep these days, because she is 16 years old.
Oh my goodness. That's a good run.
Yeah, she's quarter Jack Russell, 3/4 Chihuahua, so she was predicted to live until about 18, if I'm lucky. Wow. So
that's great.
I think she might make it to 17, but yeah, here's hoping.
Well, thank you for the reminder about the fact that it is International Dog Day. Please, everybody, love your fur babies. Thank you for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Got it. See you later. Okay. Look, it's a fine line for me sometimes in this space, right? And I started this from the beginning. It's a fine line because I want to be. People have told me that I'm a voice that they trust, and I take that very, 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 very seriously, very seriously. And people come here for the way in which we report the news, and like I say this to you guys, I have a thought in my head during the live, and it's already laid out for me in the mod chat because my mod team is committed to what we do here as well. It's a lot of heavy lifting at times, and I don't ever want to discourage anybody from participating in our democracy, because apathy is where democracy goes to die. Now, I understand. I am a white, cis, hetero man in the United States of America. I have the epitome of privilege, and I want to use it. And that's what I want other people in my space to do as well. I want us to use our privilege, because we can assimilate anywhere. The whole white dudes for Harris movement, we can literally assimilate anywhere, like anywhere. And I just want people to do that. We need to be the barrier between marginalized communities that are always under threat, because we're not. Just think about when you're traveling the TikTok spaces, right? I'm going to give you a real-time example. When you're traveling around the TikTok spaces and it's usually a white male host, right? Because that's by and large, that's what we see. It's a white male host, and there may be 3 or 4 women on the panel, right? And then one guest jumps in, they could be talking about something, and the host will speak, and the man who joined the panel will say something, or the host will be talking, and the man won't interrupt. As soon as one of the women on the panel starts talking, the man will overtalk. So that's just a small example. I mean, all the women know exactly what I'm talking about, which is why we talk about how in terms of it's all men until it's no men. We know that, right? So that's an example of how we can use our privilege. And it's not just in the TikTok space, because this is real, but it's not at the end of the day, right? For those of you who do know me outside of this space, I'm exactly who I'd like to think that I'm exactly the way that I am here. I care fucking deeply for shit. I'm unapologetic. I know exactly where I am in life. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what my needs are, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just not. And I wish more people could do that. Stop trying to fit in, right? Instead, start trying to stand out. Like, be the splinter in your toe. Be the fucking thorn in their side. Be the pain in the ass. Be the resistance. Don't be quiet. They're not being quiet. They are lying to you every fucking day. Every day. They are lying to your face. Every day. You guys know that. Most people in our country know that. But there are 25 million people in this country or more that either don't care or are too dumb to realize that. So here we are again. The question is, what do we do? There's a question in the chat. I'll answer that tomorrow. We've talked quite a bit today about what doing something looks like, and I've challenged all of you. What am I advocating for? I'm advocating for the resistance. I'm advocating for people to understand that status quo is no longer going to get work, and it might get figuratively and literally bloody. And I am encouraging you, all of you. Sure, Heather, 1 second. Thank you. I'm encouraging all of you, especially people who look like me, especially white cis hetero men. It's about fucking time you stand up and you go into black spaces and you sit there and you fucking listen and you shut your damn mouth and you listen and you learn. Because there are communities in our country that have constantly been under threat. You're not under threat. White men in America are not victims. Never have been, never will be. We can all collectively say that we are victims of capitalism. We can all agree on that. But white men are not under threat. Realize it and then do something with it. Don't stand by. Don't just be on the fucking wheel thinking, no big deal, be fine. Because without us, literally, without us, we're not going to make the change that we want. Now, I understand what's at stake if the entire system crumbles. I get it. I understand. I know who's going to suffer the most. It's always the people in marginalized groups that are going to suffer. It's the disabled community. It's the poor community. It's communities of color. It's the black community. It's the gay community. It's the LGBTQIA community. It's every marginalized group. Always the ones that are going to suffer the most. Who usually is the one that come out of it first? It's always white men. Always white men. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? That's what I want to know. And how? When and how? Hang on 1 second. Other ways to resist. Go to museums. Support local businesses. Donate. Volunteer at your local food bank. Don't shop big box. Download the 5 Calls app. Thank you, Heather. Those are all great things to do. Don't get so hung up on feeling like don't make it always about politics. Yes, we talk politics in this space every day, but this channel is about our society and social change and how we get shit done and what things are important to us and why we call truth to power every single day. I'm going to be critical of the system. I always have been. I always will be. I'm not everybody's flavor. That's totally fine. I'm fine with that. But if at least I've got you in here. I asked one of my mods the other day, like, am I too critical of the Democratic Party? I actually asked the mod chat, and they're like, nope, call it out. I don't want to discourage people from voting. I understand that whomever the Democratic nominee is going to get my vote. There's no doubt in my mind. Seriously. Well, let me classify that. If it's somebody that has a decent character, that's not a freaking predator, they're going to get my vote. Because I know what's necessary. I'm part of the problem, Mike? Really? I'm part of the problem? Interesting. So I'm gonna hold tight for a second, see if I sent Mike an invitation, see if Mike accepts my invitation. My guess is he won't. He won't. You see what I'm talking about? You can hide in the chat, Mike. I do this 4 hours a day, every day, calling out the truth. Why can't you? Are you okay with this, Mike? I bet you think you're a patriot too, don't you? Defend your opinion, Mike. Defend it. See? You can't. You can't. You can't. It's weird. Why would you not be able to do that? Hey, Bullfrog, how are you today?
Bad, how are you?
Fine. What's on your mind?
No, I just want to try and pull this up real quick. There's an actual photo of violence, not an AI generated one like you just made.
Well, I know it's of course it's not a real picture.
Here's a
dumbass.
real one where the left is destroying a city and burning shit to the ground. The people you represent, the people you're defending, they're actually burning our cities to the ground, and you had to. Why do we have? Why do so? Okay, what? Hey, Bullfrog. Hey, Bullfrog. You had to dress up a photo to propagate.
Shut the fuck up. So if you want to be a, if you want to be a man, be a man.
I don't. I am being a man.
Bullfrog. People, be a man. Be an adult. What city was burned to the ground, Bullfrog? What city was burnt? What's Bullfrog? Okay, when you're asked a question, you answer. Stop
quit
talking.
muting me.
Stop talking.
Quit muting me.
Then answer my question.
Okay, do you want to put this in the big box? I'll show you the city that's burning to the ground.
Stop talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You lost this by a long shot, dude.
Stop.
You're a fraud.
Stop.
You don't give a shit about the
talking.
communities. You don't give a shit about the marginal communities. You don't give a shit about nothing of that. You're a fraud and a fake.
You voted for this guy, my guy. Don't be okay, and then you run like a scared little boy. Goodbye, you little bitch. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye, you little bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we are fighting against. Right there. That's what we are. Good call, Jess. Would you rather I change the background to images from J6? Those are real. We'll do that tomorrow. Good call. That's what we are fighting against, you guys. That's what we are fighting against. I'm glad that was the last call of the day. That's the people that we are fighting against. And every single time, it is so easy to defeat their argument because they are just so pitifully cowardice. They won't have a conversation because they can't defend it. Instead, they'll lean in on their racism. They'll lean in on their bigotry. They'll lie. They'll accept the lies. They'll project. They don't have a fucking clue about anything. They are the dumbest individuals I've ever spoken to. Yep. From now on, it'll be pictures of J6. Good call, Jess. Good call. I'm the problem, Rocky. Again, you can request. Why don't you? Dan, you can request too. Defend your argument. Defend it. None of you can. None of you can. None of you can defend it. Not one of you can defend it. Instead, you're going to come up here, you're going to yell and you're going to scream, you're going to make up lies, you're going to do everything you can to justify your hatred of brown people, women, and every marginalized community out there. Cheering it on. Every single one of you. You guys are pitiful cowards. Because in 10 years' time, when Trump is no longer around, you're going to be asked who you voted for, and you're going to fucking lie. Oh, I didn't vote for that shit. I didn't vote for that. I'm a real American. I would never vote for that. Because you're all fucking cowards. You're pitiful fucking cowards. And we carry... I'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you giving us... Again, I'm just going to share this one more time. If you don't have somebody in your life that, you know, whether you have kids or not, that's my daughter. If you can't do anything for yourself, please do something for her. Okay? 18 years old in a month. Please do something for her. I love you all. Mods, you're fabulous human beings. You guys are the smartest chat on TikTok. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Who should we raid, guys? Anybody out there that we know? Who's live right now? Anybody? Danny's probably live. Thank you for saying that, Chuck. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Johnny's live. Go rate Johnny. Tell him we said hello. Johnny's out there doing the work too. Please go rate Johnny. I love you all. See you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time.